Chapter 621, Shuang'er and Xiaojiu. We've finally seen Divine Flame Mountain. At the highest point of Divine Flame Mountain, embraced by countless young ladies in green, when it came to the matter of Yichun obtaining the Eye of the Divine Sea, Yichun and Jiangyao had spent most of an hour searching peak after peak, and finally caught sight from afar of the endless mountain ridges emitting a blazing divine radiance. Upon seeing this mountain, Yichun and Jiangyao knew that it must be Divine Flame Mountain, mentioned by the elder Kudu, where the 9-spirit sparrow clan resided. We haven't found the final 14 eyes of creation in other regions, Jiangyao said to Yichun. It seems that the remaining eyes of creation must be within Divine Flame Mountain. Yichun nodded. I'm afraid that's indeed the case. It looks like whether we intend to catch the 9-spirit sparrow or search for the eyes of creation, we'll have to make our way through Divine Flame Mountain. After inspecting Divine Flame Mountain from a distance for a while, Yichun said to Jiangyao, "Let's go, Yaoer." Jiangyao nodded lightly. Their figures soared, heading towards the distant Divine Flame Mountain. As they approached Divine Flame Mountain, they released their auras, remaining vigilant against everything. Because they remembered Elder Kudu had mentioned that at the base of Divine Flame Mountain, there was one of the powerful beings that guarded the 33rd layer. They had to be cautious, and soon after Yichun and Jiangyao released their auras, they saw creatures wielding long pitchfork-like weapons, guarding Divine Flame Mountain. These creatures had bodies like giants and heads like bulls, each standing hundreds of zhang tall. To Yichun, these beasts felt just as terrifyingly powerful as the ancient creatures they had fought in the ancient tower. Indeed, their power far surpassed that of an ordinary true god who had overcome 9 tribulations. Moreover, there were more of these gigantic creatures than the 100 ancient ones in the tower, thousands of them. A dense mass of giant creatures patrolled at the base of Divine Flame Mountain. If it had been earlier, facing these thousands of giants with strength exceeding that of ordinary true gods, Yichun might not have been completely sure he could pass through the horde. But now, his life-bound flying sword, Crimson Fire, had been reforged by Elder Kudu, and with his newly practiced powerful move, 9 Swords of Annihilation's first sword, along with the remaining light of Emperor Yan's triple flash triple kill, in his hand and the feather given to Jiangyao by Mrs. He, Yichun and Jiangyao felt confident they could make it through. Let's hope these beasts won't collectively attack us. Otherwise, we'll have to expend some of our methods, Yichun said with a light chuckle to Jiangyao, then took her hand and flew over the territory occupied by this horde of giants. As soon as they stepped into the domain of the group of giants, the creatures below, patrolling with long forks, all raised their heads as their auras burst forth mightily. Simultaneously, these giant creatures even spoke human language, directly shouting to Yichun and Jiangyao, "You 2 intruders, daring to infiltrate Divine Flame Mountain, must first pass the Black Python clan test. Surrender swiftly, or face the sole outcome of being slain by our Black Python clan." The roar of the thousands of Black Python clan giants resounded like thunder. Within the thundering noise, Yichun and Jiangyao glanced at each other. Jiangyao said with a smile, "Looks like we can't avoid a battle, can we?" Whoosh! Jiangyao's fair hand extended, revealing the feather bestowed by Mrs. He, now appearing in her palm. Previously, Jiangyao had handed the feather to Yichun, who gave it back to her after exiting the ancient tower for her protection. Now, Jiangyao brought out the feather once more. The terrifying lethal force emanating from the feather caused the noisy Black Python clan giants below to fall into a stunned silence, many retreating rapidly. A large area of the ground below Yichun and Jiangyao was cleared. "These giants possess high intelligence," Yichun said with a light smile as the purple lightning divine sword appeared in his hand, and with a wave of his other hand, the remaining light of the Emperor Yan's triple flash triple kill also radiated brilliantly. Yichun declared to the giants, "Fellow friends of the Black Python clan, we bear no enmity with you. We only wish to visit Divine Flame Mountain. If you let us pass, it would be beneficial. Otherwise, unavoidable battle awaits us." Seeing the lethal force in Yichun's hand, the giants retreated even further in fear. the leader of the giants, a colossal black bull, cursed inwardly. How do these youngsters possess such formidable means? As the leader of the Black Python tribe, it could sense the lethal force in Yichun and Jiang Yao's hands. The force from the feather that Jiang Yao had taken out had already put it on edge, and now, the force from Yichun made the leader of the Black Python tribe feel an imminent threat of death. It felt that either of these young people could kill it outright if it attempted to block their way. Find exclusive stories on Novelbin.com. However, despite the immense fear, the leading creature, along with the thousands of Black Python clan giants behind it, did not clear the path for Yichun and Jiang Yao. Instead, the leading creature said to Yichun and Jiang Yao, "Young friends, we cannot let you pass. We are under orders to patrol the base of Divine Flame Mountain, and no one is to be allowed into the mountain. You may be powerful, but if you want to go to Divine Flame Mountain, you'll have to step over the corpses of our Black Python clan's people." Roar, roar, roar. As the leader of the Black Python tribe spoke, the other giant beasts of the Black Python tribe also roared, "We will fight to the death until the last moment. These two young people, daring to kill our clan members, will make sure they die here as well." The entire scene suddenly became a standoff. Seeing this situation, Yichun and Jiang Yao knew that a great battle was probably inevitable. After exchanging a glance, their expressions became solemn. Meanwhile, whoosh, whoosh. With two sounds, both of them took out their life-bound flying swords. Jiang Yao planned to use her life-bound flying sword for protection, and if she were to truly battle these giant beasts, she could only rely on Mrs. He's techniques. As for Yichun, he decided not to use Emperor Yan's triple flash triple kill directly. After all, they hadn't yet ascended to Divine Flame Mountain, and he couldn't use his strongest methods right away. He planned to drive the 9 swords of annihilation, First Sword Mountains and Rivers Chaos, with his Crimson Fire flying sword and battle these giant beasts. Just as the battle was on the brink of eruption, to everyone's surprise, from within Divine Flame Mountain came a crisp voice. "Let the two of them enter Divine Flame Mountain." When this voice rang out, both sides looked towards Divine Flame Mountain. What they saw was the divine light of the flames on Divine Flame Mountain slowly parting to either side, revealing the situation at the very top of the towering Divine Flame Mountain. And the one who spoke was indeed one of the 2 older girls surrounded by numerous young girls in green at the top of Divine Flame Mountain. Yichun and Jiang Yao saw that the speaking girl looked about 14 or 15 years old, with delicate features and an inherent sense of dignity. Seeing Yichun and Jiang Yao looking over, the girl smiled gently at them, and the younger girl beside her likewise stood up and smiled gently at them. Who are these 2 girls? Could it be that they are the 9 spirit sparrows of the 9 spirit sparrow clan? Why do they seem so friendly towards us? While Yichun and Jiang Yao were feeling curious, the Black Python tribe, upon seeing the 9 divine patterns flashing on the young girl's forehead, was greatly shaken, and they all knelt down one by one. The leader of the Black Python tribe, the giant black ox beast, even responded loudly to the girl. "The orders of the 9 spirit sparrows higher clan are not to be disobeyed. The orders of the 9 spirit sparrow emperor are not to be disobeyed." Boom! 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 After paying their respects to the girl, the giant black ox beast leader, along with the giant beasts of the Black Python tribe, opened a wide pathway for Yichun and Jiang Yao to Divine Flame Mountain, leaving them dumbfounded as they retreated. The 9 spirit sparrows higher clan? The 9 spirit sparrow emperor. Hearing the words of the giant black ox beast leader, Yichun and Jiang Yao instantly understood that these girls in green on Divine Flame Mountain were members of the 9 spirit sparrow clan they had been seeking. It was the miraculous soul beast, the 9 spirit sparrow that Elder Kudu had mentioned, into whom Emperor Yen had poured countless knowledge, making them extremely intelligent. But what astonished Yichun and Jiang Yao was that, according to the Black Python tribe leader's words, the 9 spirit sparrow clan was the higher clan of the Black Python tribe. What surprised them even more was that the speaking girl, who appeared to be only 14 or 15 years old, was referred to by the Black Python tribe leader as the 9 spirit sparrow emperor. Could it be that this young girl was the highest-ranking nine-spirit sparrow in the entire clan? Amidst their surprise, Yi Chun and Jiang Yao exchanged a glance and decided to put their curiosity aside for now, as they flew toward Divine Flame Mountain. Once they reached Divine Flame Mountain, everything would naturally become clear. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. As Yi Chun and Jiang Yao flew up to Divine Flame Mountain, they saw countless giant green sparrows curiously looking at them. Some of the green sparrows even transformed into young girls in green, standing by the roadside of Yi Chun and Jiang Yao's flight path, curiously observing them. And when Yi Chun and Jiang Yao finally flew to the largest green stone platform at the highest point of Divine Flame Mountain, the two young girls with 9 divine patterns on their foreheads, surrounded by a throng of girls in green, walked up to Yi Chun and Jiang Yao with smiles on their faces. The older of the two girls said to Yi Chun and Jiang Yao, "Hello. Welcome to Divine Flame Mountain. This is my sister, you can call her Schwanger," the girl said, pointing to the younger girl beside her. At the same time, she lifted her snow-white chin, looking at Yi Chun and Jiang Yao with a smile and said, "As for me, you can call me Xiaojiu." Chapter 622-9 Spirit Stone. Schwanger? Xiaojiu? Yi Chun and Jiang Yao had not expected that the members of the 9-Spirit Sparrow clan would harbor no malice towards them, but instead treated them with incredible politeness. Could it be that the 9-Spirit Sparrow clan, known for their unparalleled intelligence as Elder Kudu had said, did not object to being captured by them? Just as Yi Chun and Jiang Yao were pondering, the 11 or 12-year-old girl named Schwanger turned to them and said, "Did you two actually manage to obtain the Eye of the Divine Sea from the 32nd level of the Undersea Divine Palace? That's so impressive." According to the rules set by Lord Emperor Yen, acquiring the Eye of the Divine Sea from the 32nd level of the Undersea Divine Palace is the most difficult. In Schwanger's words, there was a strong sense of respect and admiration. Jiang Yao was also amused by Schwanger's words, and with a heartening smile, she looked at the young girl who was much younger than herself and said, "It was Yi Chun beside me who obtained the Eye of the Divine Sea."
Yi Chun.
Hearing Jiang Yao's words, Schwanger's eyes lit up, and she turned to look at Yi Chun, who was beside Jiang Yao. She also saw Jiang Yao and Yi Chun holding hands, and as if realizing something, the young girl softly asked Jiang Yao, "Then, what's your name, sister? Being with this brother Yi Chun, you must be very impressive too." "My name is Jiang Yao," Jiang Yao replied with a smile. "But of course, I'm not as remarkable as Yi Chun." Hearing the two young girls' conversation veering off topic, Yi Chun chuckled. Then he turned his attention to Schwanger and Xiaojiu, who were standing at the forefront of the group of sayan-clad young girls. Yi Chun spoke up and asked, "Are you the astoundingly intelligent 9-spirit sparrows, into whom Emperor Yen has poured a wealth of knowledge? From the looks of it, you don't seem to oppose us coming to Divine Flame Mountain? With your level of intelligence, you must know that we came to Divine Flame Mountain with the intention of capturing you," he added. In conversing with the reputedly highly intelligent 9-spirit sparrow clan, Yi Chun decided against beating around the bush and simply expressed his doubts outright. "Of course we object to martial artists entering the Undersea Divine Palace to capture members of our 9-spirit sparrow clan," said the slightly older girl Xiaojiu, laughing lightly. "However, if a true genius comes to the Undersea Divine Palace, we certainly hope to follow that genius and leave the Undersea Divine Palace to venture out into the world." As Xiaojiu spoke, Schwanger also giggled, adding, "If it was anyone else who hadn't obtained the Eye of the Divine Sea and tried to brave Divine Flame Mountain, they'd probably be captured by members of the Black Python clan before even ascending the mountain. Of course, if the person who obtained the Eye of the Divine Sea found it on an easier level, my sister and I wouldn't personally welcome them either. They would still have to rely on their own abilities to challenge Divine Flame Mountain. It is only because you found the Eye of the Divine Sea on the extremely difficult 32nd level that we truly welcome guests like you to our clan." The words of Xiaojiu and Schwanger finally made it clear for Yi Chun and Jiang Yao why they had been able to arrive at Divine Flame Mountain so smoothly. It turned out to be because they had found the Eye of the Divine Sea on the 32nd level. As Xiaojiu had mentioned, they were not opposed to being taken away, and were willing to follow Yi Chun and Zhang Yao out of the undersea divine palace, which was undoubtedly great news for them. The 9 spirit sparrows were truly an extremely intelligent clan, understanding the concept of venturing out with powerful individuals. Dealing with the intelligent 9 spirit sparrow clan was easy. Yi Chun straightforwardly addressed Xiaojiu and Shuang'er. We indeed obtained the Eye of the Divine Sea from the 32nd level of the Undersea Divine Palace. Zhang Yao and I, without boasting, can indeed be considered among the most powerful young martial artists in the Minor Spirit Realm and the Lower Realm's 33 continents. Would you be willing to follow us and leave the Undersea Divine Palace? Yi Chun had also noticed that among the 9 spirit sparrows, Xiaojiu and Shuang'er held the highest status. Elder Kudu had said that the higher the status and the more precious a 9 spirit sparrow was, the smarter they were and the more knowledge Emperor Yen had infused within them. Naturally, Yi Chun and Zhang Yao wanted to take these 2 most intelligent 9 spirit sparrows away with them. In speaking, Yi Chun directly addressed Xiaojiu and Shuang'er with his query. While speaking, Yi Chun also took out the Eye of the Divine Sea and openly displayed it to the 9 spirit sparrows. Seeing the Eye of the Divine Sea in Yi Chun's hand, the young girls, transformed from 9 spirit sparrows, uttered exclamations of surprise, and both Shuang'er and Xiaojiu's eyes shone brightly. In the end, it was Xiaojiu who was the first to collect her thoughts. She spoke to Yi Chun and Zhang Yao. Even though you have obtained the Eye of the Divine Sea from the 32nd level of the Undersea Divine Palace, which already proves you are very strong, to take a 9 spirit sparrow away from Divine Flame Mountain, you must still undergo a test. If you can complete enough tests, taking me and Shuang'er away isn't out of the question. A test? Hearing Xiaojiu's words, Yi Chun and Zhang Yao asked in unison, "What kind of test?" Shuang'er laughed and explained, "It's the 9 spirit stone test of our 9 spirit sparrow clan. The 9 spirit stone is divided into 9 layers of spiritual light. For each layer you activate, you can take away a spirit bird of the corresponding level. Otherwise, even if you forcefully capture a 9 spirit sparrow, you won't truly earn its willingness to assist you. Every time before a great cleansing catastrophe on Divine Flame Mountain, many 9 spirit sparrows will emerge from the original stones left by Emperor Yen. The levels of 9 spirit sparrows vary, ranging from the lowest 1-pattern spirit birds to the highest, the 9-pattern spirit birds. To take away a 1-pattern spirit bird, you only need to activate 1 layer of spiritual light from the 9 spirit stone, making it assist you. But for the 9-pattern spirit bird, which is the most powerful and most intelligent among our clan, with the most knowledge instilled by Emperor Yan's original stones, known as the 9 spirit sparrow emperor, you must activate the extremely difficult 9th layer of spiritual light to take it away. My sister and I, we are both 9-pattern spirit birds, known as the 9 spirit sparrow emperors. Oh, not to mention the godly kingdom of Wanmu Mountain. We know a lot about the affairs of many other star domains and godly kingdoms as well." Upon hearing Shuang'er's words, Yi Chun and Zhang Yao exchanged glances and were both taken aback. No wonder the leader of the Black Python clan had called Xiaojiu the 9 spirit sparrow emperor. It turned out she indeed was the most esteemed 9-pattern spirit bird of the 9 spirits bird clan. What truly surprised Yi Chun and Zhang Yao was that Shuang'er was also a 9 spirit sparrow emperor. Even more astonishing was that they not only knew about the affairs of the Wanmu Mountain godly kingdom, but also about those of other godly kingdoms. If that was the case, did that mean that even if Zhang Yao went to the 10,000 Beasts domain, these 9 spirit sparrows could help her? The 10,000 Beasts domain? Do you know about it? Zhang Yao couldn't help but ask Shuang'er and Xiaojiu. Shuang'er giggled and said, "The 10,000 Beasts domain is far from the Wanmu Mountain star domain. But of course, I know what's inside. As long as it's a star domain that Lord Emperor Yen has traversed, my sister and I know many secrets." Xiaojiu also nodded. Lord Emperor Yen is an entity that soars across countless star domains, and much of his perspective and knowledge has been passed down to our 9 spirits bird clan. My sister and I, as 9-pattern spirit birds, indeed know quite a lot. Saying this, Xiaojiu looked towards Yi Chun and Zhang Yao, smiling. "How about it? Do you have the courage to challenge the 9 spirit stone and try to take my sister and me away?" The 9 spirits bird clan, although it frequently incubates 9 spirit sparrows, rarely does it give rise to the most precious 9 spirit sparrow emperors. This time, you are indeed fortunate to have encountered 2 9 spirit sparrow emperors, my sister and I. Upon hearing Xiaozhou's inquiry about having the courage to challenge the 9 spirit stone, where would Yi Chun and Jiang Yao hesitate? Forget the 9 spirit stone. Even through mountains of knives and seas of flames, they dare to challenge. Xiaozhou, Shuang'er, where is the 9 spirit stone, and how shall we be tested? Yi Chun directly asked these 2 9 spirit sparrow emperor girls. Your next read awaits at Novelbin. Calm. You really want a challenge? Xiaozhou smiled lightly. Then follow us to the domain of the 9 spirit stone. If you get lost, then don't blame us. Oh. After finishing her words, Xiaozhou's figure shifted, and she transformed into an incredibly magnificent azure giant bird 10s of zhang in length, fluttering into flight. Next to her, Shuang'er also giggled, winked at Yi Chun and Jiang Yao, and transformed into an azure giant bird, flying next to Xiaozhou. Even the countless young girls in green nearby all transformed into birds and flew into the sky. And the next moment, these numerous 9 spirit sparrows, flapping their huge wings, flew towards the deeper regions of Divine Flame Mountain. Hearing Xiaozhou and Shuang'er's words and seeing their actions, Yi Chun and Jiang Yao knew their offer to lead the way to the domain of the 9 spirit stone was indeed a test in mind. If the two of them couldn't even keep up with Xiaozhou and Shuang'er, obviously, Xiaozhou and Shuang'er wouldn't acknowledge them or follow them to leave the undersea divine palace. Since these 2 9 spirit sparrow emperors want to test us, let's show them our capabilities, Yi Chun said to Jiang Yao with a gentle smile. Jiang Yao also smiled and nodded. The two of them moved and transformed into 2 streaks of light, following behind the flock of 9 spirit sparrows. Whoosh! Whoosh! The winds within the depths of Divine Flame Mountain were strong, and the powerful resistance would probably strain even many true gods flying in it. However, the 9 spirits bird clan only flew faster and faster. Xiaozhou and Shuang'er, leading the way, occasionally looked back to see if Yi Chun and Jiang Yao were keeping up. To their surprise, Xiaozhou and Shuang'er found that Yi Chun and Jiang Yao were not lagging behind at all, closely following them. Even as Xiaozhou and Shuang'er accelerated, leaving the other 9 spirit sparrows of their clan far behind, they still found that Yi Chun and Jiang Yao hadn't been shaken off and were still following their flight. The performance of Yi Chun and Jiang Yao made Xiaozhou and Shuang'er's eyes brighter and brighter. What Xiaozhou and Shuang'er didn't know was that Yi Chun's strength now surpassed even that of the true gods of the 9 tribulations from the minor spirit realm, and his flying speed was extraordinarily fast, obviously undeterred by their little test. And Jiang Yao, after being nurtured by Mrs. He and cultivating the basic skills of the Feathered Spirit Clan, included the flight divine art, so she naturally had sufficient means to follow them. Eventually, with Xiaozhou and Shuang'er leading the way, Yi Chun and Jiang Yao flew behind them, breaking into the myriad fog-shrouded domain deep within Divine Flame Mountain, landing upon a massive sky-reaching divine stone. Chapter 623-9 Layers of Spiritual Light. This sky-reaching divine stone stood over 800 zhang tall. After Xiaozhou and Shuang'er landed on it, they saw Yi Chun and Jiang Yao following behind them, also descending onto the divine stone. They flashed a light smile, then flew down from the divine stone and landed on a huge stone platform where the sky-reaching divine stone was situated. Yi Chun and Jiang Yao examined the divine stone under their feet and saw rings of patterns spreading downwards, dividing the divine stone into 9 parts. The thought struck them both. Could this be the 9 spirit stone? Following Xiaozhou and Shuang'er, Yi Chun and Jiang Yao also flew from the divine stone, landing on the stone platform. You two are indeed quite formidable. Seeing Yi Chun and Jiang Yao descend, Shuang'er's eyes shone brightly as she looked at them. My sister and I were born from a raw stone, and though we are not old as natural soul beasts, we were born with unusual strength. Our speed is such that ordinary 9 tribulation true gods can't keep up, yet you were able to follow us without falling behind at all. Read the latest on Novelbin. Calm.
Shuang'er exclaimed in Admiration.
Xiaozhou, standing nearby, also had sparkling eyes as she looked at Yichun and Zhang Yao. She felt that perhaps welcoming these two young martial artists to Divine Flame Mountain was indeed a correct decision. Perhaps these two truly had sufficient strength, worthy of her and her sister leaving the Undersea Divine Palace, to accompany them and explore the world outside thoroughly. However, everything still depends on passing the 9 Spirits Stone test, Xiaozhou whispered to herself. Then, Xiaozhou pointed to the 800 zhang tall sky-reaching divine stone in front of them and said to Yichun and Zhang Yao, "This one is the 9 Spirit Stone." Throughout the years, despite many great purges and calamities, numerous people have come here to undergo the test, attempting to take away a 9-spirit sparrow. But almost no one has managed to activate the 9 layers of spiritual light in the 9-spirit stone, which is the most difficult task. Next, the level of the 9-spirit sparrow you can take from Divine Flame Mountain will depend on your strength. Hearing Xiaozhou's words, Yichun and Zhang Yao took a few steps closer to the 9-spirit stone and examined it more closely. Zhang Yao even asked aloud, "How can we activate the spiritual light of this 9-spirit stone? Do we imbue it with true qi, or?" Xiaozhou said, "It's very simple. Infuse the combat power you've cultivated from your essence, qi, and spirit, the 3 major signs of life, into the 9-spirit stone. The stronger your 3 signs of life, the more spiritual light the 9-spirit stone will activate. As long as you meet a certain standard, you can activate the most difficult 9 layers of spiritual light. Infuse combat power cultivated from the 3 major signs of life." Yichun and Zhang Yao both nodded their understanding. Yichun wasn't too worried, for he had endured a test of the essence, qi, and spirit signs of life in the minor pole sky, even comparing well to the descendants of the great power holders from the Divine Kingdom, like the little provincial princesses. Moreover, during this time, he had transformed the techniques related to these 3 signs of life into combat power. Even the weakest divine soul technique, through the 9 swords of annihilation, had become part of his combat ability. He was fairly confident about this 9-spirit stone challenge. As long as the difficulty wasn't inconceivably high, Yichun was confident that if anyone in the minor spirit realm or the 33 continents had ever activated the 9 layers of spiritual light, he could too. Yichun was, however, somewhat concerned about Zhang Yao. Of course, he hoped Zhang Yao would also activate the 9 layers of spiritual light and successfully obtain the most valuable 9-pattern spirit bird, the 9-spirit sparrow emperor. However, if Zhang Yao didn't possess sufficient techniques pertaining to essence, qi, and spirit, then it would be difficult for her to pass this type of test. "Yaoer, is everything okay?" Yichun asked, looking into Zhang Yao's beautiful eyes. Gazing toward the 9-spirit stone, Zhang Yao smiled lightly and nodded at Yichun. "No problem." Immediately, the two of them approached the 9-spirit stone. "Yichun, you go first," Zhang Yao said with a smile to Yichun.
Yichun nodded. "Alright."
After taking a deep breath, Yichun placed his palm firmly against the 9-spirit stone. The 9-spirit stone challenge. If he could activate all 9 layers of spiritual light, he would be able to take away the most precious 9-spirit sparrow emperor, and that would mean completing over half of the task for the 33rd level. The rest would be to find those 14 eyes of creation. Yichun suspected that Xiaozhou and Shuang'er might know where they are. He had not asked yet, waiting instead until he and Zhang Yao had sufficient strength to get Xiaozhou and Shuang'er to follow them before inquiring. By then, Xiaozhou and Shuang'er would surely not hide anything from him and Zhang Yao. Whether it's the 9-spirit sparrow emperor or the eyes of creation, let's get through this 9-spirit stone challenge first. After muttering to himself, Yichun's eyes suddenly burst with divine light, and his hand that was touching the 9-spirit stone suddenly filled with unparalleled combat power. This overwhelming power included the might of the undying divine body, the force of the icebound divine body, and the power of his divine soul transformed into the 9 swords of annihilation. There was also the stellar power from practicing the primordial chapter of the primordial star scripture. Boom! 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 As the combat power poured into the 9-spirit stone, a thunderous roar echoed from it. Yichen, Zhangyao, Xiaojiu, and Shuang'er then saw the spirit stones from the lowest part of the 9 spirit stone beginning to light up, followed by the second, the third, the fourth. Layer by layer, the stones started to shine brilliantly. In an instant, the entire 9 spirit stone, divided into 9 separate regions, lit up completely. The towering sky-reaching divine stone, over 800 zhang tall, deep within the divine flame mountain, shrouded in endless fog, emitted a dazzling divine light that captured everyone's attention. All 9 regions of the spirit stone were illuminated. This undeniably symbolized that all 9 layers of spiritual light of the 9 spirit stone had been activated. Seeing this development, Xiaojiu and Shuang'er's eyes sparkled with an unprecedented brilliance. Seeing this development, Zhangyao unclenched her small fists, her face breaking into a smile. Seeing this development, Yichen, who had his palm on the 9 spirit stone, also let out a sigh of relief, thinking to himself, "My stellar power has not entirely been poured in, yet the 9 spirit stone has already activated all 9 layers of spiritual light. It seems this test isn't as difficult as I thought." Xiaojiu and Shuang'er did not hear the sighs of Yichen. Otherwise, they would have been even more astonished by Yichen's true strength. Xiaojiu and Shuang'er were well aware of the difficulty of this test. Not only Xiaojiu and Shuang'er knew about the challenge, but all the 9 spirit sparrows of their clan were aware of its difficulty. At this moment, seeing the 9 layers of spiritual light emitting from the 9 spirit stone in the endless foggy depths of divine flame mountain, those 9 spirit sparrows who were still behind and hadn't arrived yet, all stopped in shock, floating in the void, exclaiming, "9 layers of spiritual light." Just now, those 2 people, someone activated all 9 layers of spiritual light. Even those 9 spirit sparrows who hadn't flown deeper into divine flame mountain were shaken upon seeing the 9 layers of spiritual light from deep within. Their eyes revealed a look of awe. 9 layers of spiritual light. Does this mean someone is going to take the Sparrow Emperor away from here? Yichen, unaware of the 9 spirit sparrows' astonishment, saw that all 9 layers of spiritual light had been emitted from the 9 spirit stone and asked Xiaojiu and Shuang'er, "Does this mean I've passed the test?" "Passed, of course you've passed." Shuang'er immediately jumped in front of Yichen. "Yichen, you activated the most difficult 9 layers of spiritual light. Whether it's my sister or me, you can take whoever you want to leave." Xiaojiu also looked at Yichen with some anticipation. She had been full of hope for Yichen, who had obtained the Eye of the Divine Sea from the 32nd layer of the Undersea Divine Palace. And now that Yichen had proven his strength at the 9 Spirit Stone, she naturally wanted to follow him and venture outside the Undersea Divine Palace. Otherwise, her batch of 9 spirit sparrows would only be able to cultivate within the Undersea Divine Palace and wouldn't even be able to participate in the next Great Purge catastrophe. After all, by the time of the next Great Purge catastrophe, the raw stone would have nurtured a new batch of 9 spirit sparrows. Xiaojiu was not willing to stay in one place and cultivate every day like the older members of her clan. She wanted to see the world, to witness the true nature of the various divine kingdoms as described in the knowledge imparted by Lord Emperor Yin. Upon hearing from Shuang'er that he had passed the test, Yichen finally removed his palm from the 9 spirit stone. However, he did not immediately respond to the expectant looks from Shuang'er and Xiaojiu about his selection. He wanted to wait for Zhangyao to finish her test. "Yaoer, it's your turn to take the test," Yichen said to Zhangyao gently. "After your test, we'll discuss choosing between them." Zhangyao nodded her head, smiled softly, and walked toward the 9 spirit stone. As Zhangyao placed her delicate palm on the 9 spirit stone, Yichen felt a surge of nervousness. And not just him, Xiaojiu and Shuang'er were also somewhat anxious. This Zhangyao, she isn't the one who got the Eye of the Divine Sea, so I wonder if she can activate all 9 layers of spiritual light, Shuang'er thought. If she can't, then one of my sister and me will have to stay behind on Divine Flame Mountain. However, this Zhangyao is so intimately close with Yichen. She must be very formidable too. While Shuang'er was lost in her thoughts, she saw the 9 spirits stone in front of Zhangyao begin to light up layer by layer. Finally, like Yichen, all 9 layers of the 9 spirit stone were illuminated, radiating a resplendent glow. 9 layers of spiritual light. Another 9 layers of spiritual light. Shuang'er jumped with excitement, while Xiaojiu and Yichun also heaved a sigh of relief. In the distance, the other 9 spirit sparrows, who had just been shocked by Yichun activating all 9 layers of spiritual light, were taken aback again. A second 9 layers of spiritual light? Do both of those young people have the ability to activate the most challenging 9 layers of spiritual light? After completing the test, Zhang Yao turned around, smiling as she winked at Yichun. How about that, Yichun? I've made quite a lot of progress training with Grandma. Haven't I? A lot of progress. Yichun nodded with a smile. It seems I need to train in the divine institutes of the divine kingdom even more. Otherwise, I will soon be left behind by you. As Yichun and Zhang Yao exchanged smiles, they both let out a sigh of relief. They knew that, with the end of this test on the 9 Spirit Stone, their goal for the 33rd layer, and perhaps even the entire Undersea Divine Palace, was close to completion. At that moment, Shuang'er could not contain herself any longer. She chuckled and asked Yichun and Zhang Yao, "Both of you are so powerful. Tell us, who's going to choose me, and who's going to choose my sister?" Chapter 624, Everything in Hand. Whom to choose? After exchanging a glance, Yichun and Zhang Yao looked towards Xiaojiu and Shuang'er. Although their interactions with the 2 9-spirit sparrow emperors were limited, both of them had noticed the differences between the girls. Shuang'er, the younger one, seemed livelier and more mischievous, while Xiaojiu carried a hint of the dignity and majesty fitting of the 9-spirit sparrow emperor. Overall, however, the differences weren't significant, as both were 9-pattern spirit birds, both equally knowledgeable with the highest level of teachings infused by Lord Emperor Yen, and both equally excellent companions from the 9 Spirits bird clan. "I'm okay with either, Yaoer. Who do you want to accompany you?" Yichun asked with a smile. Zhang Yao replied with a gentle smile. "I'm fine with either as well. How about we ask for their opinions?" Yichun nodded and turned towards Xiaojiu and Shuang'er. "Which one of us do you want to follow?" Xiaojiu and Shuang'er looked at each other and saw a touch of anticipation in each other's eyes. "Shuang'er, you go first," said Xiaojiu to Shuang'er. With a giggle, Shuang'er suddenly leapt to Zhang Yao's side. "I'm going to follow Sister Zhang Yao. Sister Zhang Yao, I'll accompany you in your cultivation and tell you everything I know." At this moment, Xiaojiu unusually showed a hint of shyness as she approached Yichun. "Yichun, I'll assist you well, but since I'm a spirit beast by nature, if possible, you'll have to help me improve my strength." "Don't worry," Yichun said, nodding with a smile. Ultimately, Yichun took Xiaojiu as the 9-spirit sparrow he sought, while Zhang Yao took Shuang'er as her chosen 9-spirit sparrow. Xiaojiu and Shuang'er were both tremendously satisfied with their choice of companions in Yichun and Zhang Yao. It was a win-win situation. Having resolved the matter of obtaining the 9 spirit sparrows from Divine Flame Mountain, there was still one important task that Yichun and Zhang Yao had yet to accomplish. That was to find the last 14 eyes of creation on the 33rd floor of the Undersea Divine Palace. Your next read awaits at novelbin.com. The last 14 eyes of creation involved 2 major rewards. The first prize was simply the reward for collecting all 14 eyes of creation from the 33rd floor. The old man from the Bitter Crossing had said that if one could obtain these 14 eyes of creation, it was possible to directly advance one's realm by a whole level, which meant both Yichun and Zhang Yao could bypass the long cultivation periods and leap directly from the mid-stage to the late stage of the Heavenly Saint realm. Yichun and Zhang Yao had discussed this reward, with Zhang Yao saying she would follow Mrs. He in her cultivation, not in a rush to increase her realm, whereas Yichun, about to face the major assessment from the 9 great divine institutes, urgently needed to boost his strength to contend with the prodigies from the divine kingdom. Of course, Zhang Yao wanted Yichun to get the 14th eye of creation and make a direct breakthrough to the late stage of the Heavenly Saint realm. The second major reward was for collecting all 14 eyes of creation from the 33rd floor along with the 19 eyes of creation from the 6th, 15th, and 21st floors, accumulating all 33 eyes of creation. This led to the reward promised by the old man from the Bitter Crossing, the great treasure left by Lord Emperor Yen, the Life Origin Wheel. Whether it was directly advancing a level in cultivation or the opportunity to train with the accelerated time flow of the life origin wheel, both rewards would be available upon obtaining the last 14 eyes of creation. It goes without saying that Yi Chun and Zhang Yao were determined to find them all on the 33rd floor. At this moment, with the two most precious 9-spirit sparrow emperors, Xiaozhou and Shuang'er, having chosen to follow them, Yi Chun certainly wasn't going to miss the chance to ask the floor's two little overlords. Xiaozhou, Shuang'er, do you know the whereabouts of the 14 eyes of creation on this 33rd floor? Yi Chun asked. As Yi Chun inquired, he and Zhang Yao couldn't help feeling a bit anxious. They had previously searched countless mountains on the 33rd floor without finding a trace of the 14 eyes of creation, and if they couldn't get any information from Xiaozhou and Shuang'er, they would be at a loss. Just as Yi Chan and Zhang Yao grew concerned, Xiaozhou spoke up with words that brought immediate surprise and joy to their hearts. The last 14 eyes of creation are not far from here in the creation treasury, Xiaozhou said with a smile to Yi Chan and Zhang Yao. Come on, I'll take you to get those eyes of creation. Shuang'er added, that creation treasury is a place only known to our 9 spirits bird clan, and only those who pass our clan's test can obtain the treasures within. If it were someone else, even if they passed the test from our clan, without a sufficient number of activated spiritual light layers and only taking away a lower level 9 spirit sparrow, they wouldn't be able to leave with the most precious treasures from the creation treasury. My sister and I are the most precious 9 spirits sparrow emperors of the 9 spirits bird clan. Accordingly, the person we choose to follow can select the 2 most precious things from the creation treasury. Aside from the most precious 14 eyes of creation, you can choose another most precious thing.
Creation treasury.
It has 14 eyes of creation, and you can choose another most precious thing. Hearing Xiaozhou and Shuang'er's words, both Yi Chun and Zhang Yao were thrilled beyond measure, with Yi Chun saying to Xiaozhou, let's go, Xiaozhou and Shuang'er, lead the way. We'll have a good look at the creation treasury. The creation treasury was just dozens of miles away from the 9-spirit stone realm. Yi Chen, Zhang Yao, Xiaozhou, and Shuang'er flew into the realm of creation treasury in the blink of an eye. When Xiaozhou opened the restrictions hiding this realm in the sky, Yi Chun and Zhang Yao directly saw a vast temple sitting on the ground below. Entering the grand temple, Yi Chun finally understood the rumors he'd heard before entering the undersea divine palace. Yi Chun had heard that inside the undersea divine palace, not only were there various cultivation treasures, there was also a treasury hiding countless precious treasures, in which not only many heaven-reaching divine artifacts were contained but also mysterious heavenly divine artifacts. Yi Chun had witnessed cultivation treasures in the void celestial gourd realm, and he had yet to see the treasury that hid countless precious treasures. Yi Chun had not expected that right in the depths of the 33rd level. There lay hidden a treasury, the creation treasury. Having truly entered the creation treasury, Yi Chun saw countless treasures and ancient treasures, and even many heaven-reaching divine artifacts, as well as 3 of the legendary mysterious heavenly divine artifacts. Yi Chun now realized that the rumors were true. There really was a treasury in the undersea divine palace. The secret of the treasury was probably spread by the warriors who had once taken the 9-spirit sparrow from Divine Flame Mountain. However, according to Xiaozhou and Shuang'er, those warriors probably only saw those precious treasures but had no ability to take them away. And now, Yi Chun and Zhang Yao could take the Eye of Creation and choose another precious treasure. In the end, Yi Chun directly took the last 14 Eyes of Creation into his hands and, using these 14 Eyes of Creation, directly went into one of the treasury's cultivation secret chambers, and under the endless divine energy left by Lord Emperor Yen, he broke through to the late stages of the celestial saint realm. Moreover, Yi Chun exchanged all 33 Eyes of Creation for the legendary treasure that provided 100-fold time acceleration for cultivation and could be carried with him at all times. The Life Origin Wheel. The Life Origin Wheel was a palm-sized, circular stone-like magical artifact. But when Yi Chun infused his spiritual sense into it, he directly sensed a colossal cultivation space within. If it were not for the fact that Yi Chun had cultivated in a 100-fold time acceleration environment in the void celestial gourd and temporarily could not enter, being repelled by the life origin will, Yi-chun could have even cultivated inside it for another month. Though repelled for now, after a period of time, once a year had passed, Yi-chun would also be able to enter the life origin wheel for cultivation again, utilizing the fortune of its accelerated time flow. By choosing the 14 eyes of creation, Yi-chun had gained the opportunity to break through to the late celestial saint realm and to possess the life origin wheel. Zhang Yao, too, used her remaining precious treasure selection privilege to choose one of the 3 mysterious heavenly divine artifacts. A mysterious heavenly divine artifact jade pendant that could protect her without the need for energizing it with true qi. With this mysterious heavenly divine artifact jade pendant, Yi-chun felt even more at ease about Zhang Yao traveling to the Myriad Beasts starfield. In the end, Yi-chun and Zhang Yao, along with Xiaojiu and Shuanger, left the creation treasury with their great gains and flew away from Divine Flame Mountain. It's over. All 33 levels of the Undersea Divine Palace have finally come to an end. We've found the eyes of Sea Spirit and gained countless opportunities and fortunes. Yi-chun and Zhang Yao exchanged a glance, and there was a hint of excitement in their eyes. Next, we just have to wait for the Undersea Divine Palace's 1-year treasure hunting period to completely end. After it ends on the last day, we'll save those who need to be saved. As for those from the Flying Spirit clan and the Zhu Yan clan who had surrounded and killed the members of the Divine Phoenix clan, it's time for retribution. Just as Yi-chun and Zhang Yao were thinking about future matters and feeling a bit sentimental about their upcoming separation in the sky, they both heard a voice. Yi-chun Yaoer, along with your 29 Spirit Sparrow friends, come to me. Hearing this voice, Zhang Yao excitedly said to Yi-chun, "That's Grandma's voice." Chapter 625 Visitors from the Divine Kingdom. Hearing Zhang Yao's words, Yi-chun was startled. The voice of Sovereign He. Yi-chun had heard from Zhang Yao that Mrs. He was a power in the sovereign realm. Such existences were on par with Elder Kudu and the father of the little provincial princess, the East Territory King. Yi-chun had not expected that Mrs. He would directly call for him and Zhang Yao to go see her. However, Yi-chun had long wished to meet Mrs. He and the 9 female divine venerables of the Feathered Spirit clan. After all, Zhang Yao would follow them to the 10,000 Beasts domain, and without meeting them, Yi-chun wouldn't be at ease. Since Sovereign He has summoned, then Yi-chun shall impose. Yi-chun spoke up towards the void. He knew that even if he spoke aimlessly into the void, Mrs. He, with her sovereign realm cultivation, would definitely hear him. As expected, after Yi-chun responded, Mrs. He's voice appeared again in the void. I seem to have forgotten when I sent Yaoer away. I directly sent her to the 31st level, and she doesn't know the way to the void realm. Then follow this bridge of light to me. Upon Sovereign He's voice ringing, instantly, a bridge of light appeared under the feet of Yi-chun, Zhang Yao, Xiaojiu, and Shuanger, extending from beneath them to an endless distance on the 33rd level. Such a divine feat made Yi-chun inwardly praise in amazement. Truly worthy of a powerhouse in the sovereign realm. At that moment, seeing the bridge of light suddenly appearing under their feet and hearing the previous voice, Xiaojiu and Shuanger were also shocked. Suddenly, as if they thought of something, they said incredulously, "The Void Realm? Could it be that the speaker is Sovereign He of the Feathered Spirit clan, mentioned in the knowledge bestowed upon us by Lord Emperor Yen, who is responsible for the great cleansing catastrophe in the lower realm?" Xiaojiu and Shuanger were 9 Spirit Sparrow Emperors with many secrets known to them, and they were aware of the existence of Mrs. He and the 9 female divine venerables. Thinking of Mrs. He's affectionate nickname for Zhang Yao and the caring tone in her voice, Shuanger said excitedly, "Sister Zhang Yao, have you already met Sovereign He? She even mentioned sending you to the 31st level. Sovereign Realm. That's a figure of great importance. The pinnacle existence in a divine kingdom." Seeing Shuanger so excited for Zhang Yao's impressive following, Yi-chun said with a smile, "Shuanger, not only does Yaoer know Mrs. He, but she will also follow Mrs. He and the 9 female divine venerables of the Feathered Spirit clan to the 10,000 Beasts domain for cultivation. Once at the 10,000 Beasts domain, you must assist Yaoer well." Sister Zhang Yao is going to the 10,000 Beasts domain? Hearing Yi-chun's words, Shuang'er's eyes gleamed even brighter. No wonder Sister Jiang Yao asked about the 10,000 beasts domain before. So, she is going there. I also really want to see the 10,000 beasts domain. Brother Yi Chun, rest assured, I will accompany Sister Jiang Yao to the 10,000 beasts domain and will definitely assist her well. Seeing Shuang'er, a little girl of about 11 or 12 years old, solemnly making such a promise, Jiang Yao couldn't help but laugh. Jiang Yao knew that with Shuang'er accompanying her, she would indeed have a companion on her journey. All right, let's go. Don't keep Sovereign He waiting anxiously. Looking at the bridge of light underfoot, Yi Chun said to Jiang Yao, Xiaojiu, and Shuang'er. Okay. Jiang Yao, Xiaojiu, and Shuang'er nodded one after another. Subsequently, the four of them followed the bridge of light, flying toward the void realm mentioned by Mrs. He. The more they flew, the more astonished they became. They had flown for half an hour, and with their speed, they must have covered hundreds of thousands of miles. Yet they had not reached the end of the bridge of light. At that moment, the four of them realized just how vast this 33rd layer of heaven and earth was. Their admiration grew for Mrs. He, who could lay down such a bridge of light with just a few words. This was the strength of a sovereign realm powerhouse. Yaoer, you must cultivate well with Sovereign He and the 9 female divine venerables. In the future, with such abilities, we could traverse numerous star domains. Yi Chun said to Jiang Yao while they were flying. MHM. Jiang Yao nodded earnestly, her beautiful eyes looking at Yi Chun with a confident sparkle. Yi Chun, you must also cultivate diligently. You said you would become stronger before me and come find me in the 10,000 beasts domain. I will, Yi Chun promised solemnly to Jiang Yao. He did not want to be parted from Jiang Yao for too long. He could not wait for Jiang Yao to fulfill Mrs. He's requirements and return to Wanmu Mountain Star Domain before seeing Jiang Yao again. Yi Chun had already planned that as soon as he had sufficient strength, he would go to the 10,000 Beasts Domain to see Jiang Yao. Now that the matter of the Undersea Divine Palace has been completely resolved, I will strive to join the 9 great divine institutes and have the opportunity for further growth. It won't take long for me to reach the 10,000 Beasts Domain. As Yi Chen, Jiang Yao, Xiaojiu, and Shuang'er flew and talked, after another half an hour of flight, they finally saw a realm with a void light gate appearing in the distance. The four knew that they had arrived at the void realm, where Mrs. He and the 9 female divine venerables were. After flying into the void light gate, the gate behind Yi Chun, Jiang Yao, Xiaojiu, and Shuang'er slowly sealed shut, while ahead of them, an old woman accompanied by 9 young ladies was waiting in the void with smiling faces. Seeing the old woman and the 9 young ladies, Yi Chun knew they were Mrs. He and the 9 female divine venerables. Yi Chun, this is Grandma. This is Aunt Yu Chen. This is Aunt Yu Ling. Jiang Yao took Yi Chen's hand and flew over to Mrs. He and the 9 female divine venerables to introduce them to him. Grandma. 9 aunts, you are already familiar with Yi Chun, right? When introducing Yi Chun to Mrs. He and the 9 female divine venerables, Jiang Yao's delicate face turned slightly red. She had missed Yi Chun while in the void realm and had been often teased by the 9 female divine venerables. Familiar indeed, we have certainly observed the young man whom Yaoer adores, replied Mrs. He and the 9 female divine venerables, nodding with a smile upon hearing Jiang Yao's introduction. When their gaze fell upon Yi Chun, sensing the age of his bones and the aura of his battle strength, Mrs. He and the 9 female divine venerables couldn't help but admire inwardly. He truly is an exceptional and splendid youth. At the highest peak of the void realm, continue reading stories on novelbin.com. Mrs. He, the 9 female divine venerables, Yi Chun, Jiang Yao, Xiaojiu, and Shuang'er sat cross-legged respectively. Mrs. He looked at Xiaojiu beside Yi Chun and Shuang'er beside Jiang Yao, nodding and saying, "You 2 little ones are quite impressive," managing to bring down the 2-born 9 spirit sparrow emperors from Divine Flame Mountain. Upon hearing Mrs. He mention her, Xiaojiu quickly stood up and bowed gracefully. Xiaojiu pays respects to Sovereign He. Shuang'er, however, curiously sized up Mrs. He and the 9 female divine venerables before speaking up. "Grandma, you have an eye for talent just like Shuang'er, both having chosen Sister Jiang Yao. What Shuang'er referred to by having chosen was Mrs. He picking out Jiang Yao to instruct and Shuang'er deciding to follow Jiang Yao. Hearing Shuang'er compare herself with Mrs. He, the remaining female divine venerables, Yichun, Jiang Yao, and Xiaojiu all chuckled. Shuang'er sure was interesting, showing no fear of Mrs. He's status. Yichun nodded inwardly. This was good. In this way, Shuang'er following Jiang Yao to the 10,000 Beasts domain would be able to help Jiang Yao more independently without being too intimidated by Mrs. He's status. After sharing a laugh, Mrs. He turned to more serious matters. She looked at Yichun and spoke. Yichun, although you and Yaoer like each other, Yaoer will be following us to the 10,000 Beasts domain to cultivate. You must be patient. I have told Yaoer before, only when both of you become truly strong can you be together for a longer time. Heavenly Saint is far from sufficient. Above you there are the True God Realm, God King Realm, Divine Venerable Realm, Sovereign Realm, and even realms that surpass the Sovereign Realm. Your journey is still very long, she added. Mrs. He's words prompted Yichun to nod. Rest assured, Sovereign He, Yaoer and I will work hard. While Yaoer heads to the 10,000 Beasts domain for cultivation, I will strive to join the 9 great divine institutions in the divine kingdom of the Wanmu Mountain. The 9 great divine institutions? Mrs. He nodded. The reward of the Eye of the Divine Sea indeed involves a trial spot for the 9 great divine institutions. With your strength, if you put in the effort, you might just have hope. There are a few months left before the treasure hunt havoc of the Undersea Divine Palace comes to an end. Only then can you leave the Undersea Divine Palace. For these remaining months, cultivate here with Yaoer. If we're not back by that time, wait for us outside the Undersea Divine Palace. Before we leave, I'll provide you with the access to the first layer of the Undersea Divine Palace, Mrs. He said to Yichun at last. Upon hearing the words, if we're not back, and before we leave from Mrs. He, both Jiang Yao and Yichun were momentarily taken aback. Jiang Yao, in particular, asked, Grandma, where are you going? Mrs. He and the 9 female divine venerables all smiled and explained. With both the Eye of the Divine Sea and the Eye of Creation having found their masters, our role in overseeing this cycle of the cleansing havoc in the Undersea Divine Palace has come to an end. Our divine apparitions are presiding over the cleansing havoc in other lower realms. With the time we have now, we can finally address the matter that's been on your mind, they revealed. At those words, Jiang Yao stood up excitedly. Grandma, aunts, are you going to find my parents and clan members and rescue them from the Black Crow God King's grasp? Mrs. He and the 9 female divine venerables nodded and smiled. Exactly. We are about to return to the 10,000 Beasts domain, and it's best to resolve this matter sooner rather than later. Once Mrs. He and the 9 female divine venerables had made arrangements for Yichun and Jiang Yao's cultivation in the Void Realm, they left the Undersea Divine Palace and flew toward the divine kingdom of the Wanmu Mountain, searching for traces of the Black Crow God King. Meanwhile, Yichun and Jiang Yao embarked on their cultivation journey in the Void Realm with the company of Xiaojiu and Shuang'er, using the last 3 months of the Undersea Divine Palace's year-long treasure hunt. The surviving martial artists within the other layers of the Undersea Divine Palace were all waiting for the treasure hunt to finally end. After all, the Eye of the Divine Sea had been found, and all of the Eye of Creation had long been taken by others. They certainly wouldn't risk further descent into the lower levels of the Undersea Divine Palace. They waited restlessly and hopefully to return to the first layer of the Undersea Divine Palace, waiting for the one who had obtained the Eye of the Divine Sea to reach out and save them. At this time, however, the people within the Undersea Divine Palace were unaware that another group was en route from the divine kingdom of the Wanmu Mountain, heading towards the direction of the Celestial Spirit Star. Chapter 626 Plotting and Escape. These people were the 5 divine venerables and a young True God Realm martial artist. At the moment, they were in a mysterious heavenly divine armament flying boat, engaged in conversation. One of the divine venerables spoke up. Soon, the 9 Great God Institute's assessment will take place. Regrettably, as Earth Divine Venerables, the 5 of us don't have an opportunity to secure a spot for Linner in the 9 Great God Institute's assessment. Another Divine Venerable expressed his grievances as well. Those assessment spots for the 9 Great God Institutes have long been monopolized by the heavenly divine venerables and the immortal divine venerables, who grant them to their descendants. Even mighty beings of the sovereign realm have taken up quite a few spots. We are merely earth divine venerables with little standing among our peers. How could we possibly get a spot from the 9 great god institutes? However, fortunately, a portion of the star maps denoting the locations of the great calamities erupting in the lower realms has leaked from the Western Territory King Mansion. These great calamities erupting in the lower realms are said to offer a chance at securing a spot for the 9 Great God Institute's assessment. With much difficulty, we've purchased a small piece of the star map, pinpointing the exact locations of 5 continents undergoing the great cleansing calamities. We hope that this won't end up being a wasted effort. The oldest among them let out a sigh. The complete star map that marks all the erupting great cleansing calamities in the lower realms is said to have countless stars, and the Western Territory King Mansion only let out a very small part. Yet that small part was divided into countless maps and auctioned off. We only managed to secure the star maps of 5 continents with great cleansing calamities. Rumor has it that the chances of surviving the lower realms' great cleansing calamities and obtaining an assessment spot for the 9 Great God Institutes are minuscule. Relying on the star maps of these 5 continents, it'll be difficult for us to secure the 9 Great God Institutes assessment spot. For the most part, our chances amount to nothing. The other divine venerables understood the implications of what their peer had said. While that may be true, we must still strive for that slight hope. Another divine venerable said, "Just imagine if we manage to secure an assessment spot from these 5-star continents, we will have hit it big." After all, precisely because the odds of getting an assessment spot from the lower realms are so low, we were able to secure this piece of the star map at a not-so-high price. As the divine venerable spoke, he turned to the young true god realm martial artist beside him, saying, "Linner, if we are able to get a spot in the 9 Great God Institute's assessment, you must perform well. Even if you are not chosen by one of the 9, the event will be observed by countless other institutes. If you perform well, joining another institute is also a very good outcome." The young true god realm martial artist known as Linner nodded repeatedly. "My 5 esteemed teachers, I will try my best." Humph, who would have thought that even those garbage martial artists from the lower realms could get an opportunity for the 9 Great God Institute's assessment, while we in the Divine Kingdom can't. There's no helping it. Those mighty figures always like to give lower realm martial artists some opportunities. The 5 divine venerables sighed. But without the strength, even if they receive an opportunity, they won't be able to hold on to it. Let's not talk about this anymore. These 5 continents experiencing the great cleansing calamities: Celestial Spirit Star, Heavenly Fierce Star, Bright Moon Star, they're not too far apart. We should focus on finding out whether there's a chance to secure an assessment spot for the 9 Great God Institutes among them. In the midst of this discussion, the 5 divine venerables, along with the young true god realm martial artist, boarded the flying boat and headed towards the direction of the Celestial Spirit Star, where the minor spirit realm was located. While these 5 divine venerables were scheming to capture the potential assessment spots born from the 5-star continents, at Wanmu Mountain Divine Nation, the East Territory King Mansion, a burly figure was seated at the head of a long table within a great hall, poring over an ancient tome. Beside this stately figure was a little girl dressed in white, busily writing and drawing on a piece of paper. "Daddy, I finished practicing the circulation of heaven divine art you asked me to cultivate. You promised to take me to Celestial Spirit Star to see Yi-chan. When are we going?" In the midst of her writing and drawing, the little girl suddenly threw down her pen with a trace of irritation and addressed the burly figure in the center of the hall. Judging by the voice and the intelligent, beautiful eyes and face of the white-clad girl, who else could she be but the little provincial princess? And the burly figure she was addressing was none other than the most powerful being in Wanmu Mountain Divine Nation, the sovereign realm powerhouse, the king of the Divine Kingdom in the East Province. Upon hearing the complaints of the little provincial princess, the East Territory King smiled and said, "Luoer, be patient. A year has not yet passed." "A year? Daddy, you insist on waiting a year as if I don't know the reason." The little provincial princess spun her beautiful eyes, radiating craftiness and wit. I heard that the great cleansing calamity has erupted on the celestial spirit star where Yi Chun resides. Daddy, you're telling me to wait a year. Aren't you waiting to see if Yi Chun survives the great cleansing calamity? There's no need to guess. He definitely will survive. Yi Chun is the only one besides me who made it through all 5 major cultivation sites in the minor pole sky. The East Territory King gave a non-committal smile in response to the little provincial princess's words. Arguing with his most beloved daughter was not something he wished to do. As the East Territory King and little provincial princess were talking, the figure of the divine venerable Hong Zhu hurriedly flew into the hall. Excitedly addressing the East Territory King, she said, "Sovereign, the star map of Wanmu Mountain has turned blue for the celestial spirit star. This indicates that someone on the celestial spirit star has found the ultimate treasure, one that can allow everyone to escape the calamity of the great cleansing. With this, Yi Chun is surely safe. Perhaps he's the one who discovered the ultimate treasure on the celestial spirit star." Hearing the words of divine venerable Hong Zhu, the eyes of the East Territory King brightened, while the little provincial princess stood abruptly. "Aunt Hong Zhu, are you saying Yi Chun is safe? I knew he would escape this crisis. Daddy, let's go. Let's hurry to Celestial Spirit Star and see for ourselves." Seeing the little provincial princess's eagerness, the East Territory King shook his head and smiled. Even if the ultimate treasure has been found, these martial artists have to wait until 1 year has passed before they can escape the calamity. There are still a few months to go, Luor. Your anxiety won't help. It'll take a few more months before Yi Chun can emerge? Upon hearing it would take a few more months, the little provincial princess pouted slightly, looking somewhat petulant. However, seeing the discontent in the little provincial princess, the East Territory King smiled and glanced in the direction of the celestial spirit star. "It seems that after a while we indeed have to make a trip to that celestial spirit star." Hearing the words of the East Territory King, the little provincial princess' eyes swirled with anticipation. "Finally, I can go to the celestial spirit star. I promised Brother Yi Chun that I would visit him, and I always keep my word." At this moment, Divine Venerable Hong Zhu spoke to the East Territory King. "Sovereign, I've heard that the Western Territory King Mansion is going to reveal tens of thousands of positions on the Star Continent during the Great Cleansing Calamity and has already leaked thousands. I wonder if they've leaked the position of the Celestial Spirit Star. If they have, that might mean quite a bit of trouble for the Celestial Spirit Star." Hearing the words of Divine Venerable Hong Zhu, the East Territory King frowned slightly. That Western Territory King Mansion always likes to pull little tricks. However, they wouldn't dare leak all of the star maps related to the Great Cleansing Calamity, nor the precise locations of the star continents that have survived the calamity. Otherwise, many warriors from divine kingdoms would head there to snatch the treasures of the Great Cleansing Tragedy, and that would be the real trouble. I was already planning a trip to the Celestial Spirit Star, but now it seems even more necessary to do so. I might as well check out some other star continents while I'm there to make sure warriors from the divine kingdoms don't ruin the hard-earned opportunities of many martial artists from lower realms. Yi Chun had no idea that the Great Cleansing Calamity in their lower realm would attract the attention of so many in the divine kingdoms. He did not know that before they even emerged from the calamity, many from the divine kingdoms were already coveting the benefits they had obtained, and a significant number of them were already en route to various star continents. At this time, together with Zhang Yao, Yi Chun was cultivating in the Void Realm under the accompaniment of Xiaojiu and Shuanger, using the final moments to their advantage. While they cultivated, they were also waiting for Mrs. He and the 9 female divine venerables to return with Zhang Yao's family. But this wait went on for over 3 more months. Just as the Great Cleansing Calamity was drawing to a close, Yi Chun, Zhang Yao, Xiaojiu, and Shuanger had still not seen Mrs. He and the others return. This situation had Zhang Yao worried. Could it be that the grandma has not found the Black Crow God King? Or has something happened? Zhang Yao's exquisite brows were tightly furrowed. "Don't worry, Yaoer. With the strength of Sovereign He and the 9 female divine venerables, there's nothing in the mountain divine nation that could threaten them. It's likely that the Black Crow God King is just very good at hiding. Let's wait a bit longer. Yi Chun comforted Jiang Yao. Okay. Jiang Yao nodded lightly. In 5 days, we will return to the first level of the Undersea Divine Palace, and then we can leave the palace. Yi Chun changed the subject. At the mention of just 5 more days, Xiaojiu and Shuang'er became excited. Especially Shuang'er, who said to Yi Chun and Jiang Yao, Brother Yi Chun, Sister Jiang Yao, even though you haven't broken through to the next realm in the past few months, your martial skills have improved greatly. In my opinion, even going up against the incredibly powerful high-order true gods from the Divine Kingdom wouldn't be a problem for Brother Yi Chun and Sister Jiang Yao right now. Hearing Shuang'er's words, Xiaojiu nodded in agreement. Yi Chun clasped Jiang Yao's hand, and they shared a smile. Indeed, they had reaped significant rewards during this period. Jiang Yao had delved deeper into cultivating the techniques taught to her by Mrs. He over the past few months. As for Yi Chun, he had expanded the stellar cave heaven spaces within the 4th chapter, primordial chapter, of the primordial star scripture from hundreds to over 1,000. Your next chapter is on Novelbin. Calm. The power he drew from the stars had reached about 1% of the primordial chapter star divine chart. This 1% was not to be underestimated. Yi Chun could now activate the 5 great divine arts with stellar power and easily slay an ordinary 9 tribulations true god, or one of the 5 tribulation ancient beasts reared by a divine venerable of the divine kingdom he had fought previously. And using the stellar power from the primordial star scripture combined with divine soul power, Yi Chun was now confident that with the most powerful heaven-reaching divine art, 9 Swords of Annihilation, and having cultivated the second of the 9 Swords of Annihilation, he could even defeat an incredibly powerful 6 or 7 tribulations true god from the divine kingdom. This was just the achievement of cultivating for a little over 3 months. Then there were the combat means of the physical body such as the Undying Divine Body and the Icebound Divine Body. By the time the assessments at the Great God Institute start, with another opportunity for Yi Chun to train in the life origin will at 100 full-time flow rate, he was even confident of cultivating the 9 Swords of Annihilation to the 4th or 5th sword, and to cultivate the primordial chapter of the primordial star scripture to over 10%. If so, Yi Chun might well contend with the truly mightiest true gods of the divine kingdom and even stand a good chance of entering the number 1 institute of the 9 great divine institutes, the Supreme Divine Institute. In the midst of sharing this smile with Jiang Yao, Yi Chun chatted with Xiaojiu and Shuang'er a while longer before they all resumed their cultivation. And soon enough, the 5 days passed. On the final day of treasure hunting in the Undersea Divine Palace, all the warriors were transferred back to the first level of the palace. The time to escape annihilation at the hands of the Eye of the Divine Sea, before the Great Cleansing, had arrived. Chapter 6:27. Boom! 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 Beams of divine light enveloped the surviving warriors on various floors of the Undersea Divine Palace, instantly transporting them into motion. The next moment, these warriors found themselves back in the massive hall of the first floor of the Undersea Divine Palace. Returning to the first floor of the Undersea Divine Palace, everyone's feelings had drastically changed. Previously, there were hundreds of thousands of people in this great hall, but now, upon their return, over half of them had died in the trials within the Undersea Divine Palace. Only a little over 100,000 warriors remained. An even greater change was that previously, everyone was filled with worry about whether they could escape the calamity of the Great Purge. Many had even fallen into despair. But now all were brimming with great hope, because by now, everyone knew that the most precious artifact of the Undersea Divine Palace, the ultimate treasure, Eye of the Divine Sea, that could allow everyone to escape the Great Purge, had been found. The person who possessed the Eye of the Divine Sea was among the crowd. As long as this person took action, they could save them from the disaster of the Great Purge. Who is it who has obtained the Eye of the Divine Sea? Save us! Save us! The powerful being who has received the Eye of the Divine Sea is our great benefactor. Many people looked around, trying to catch a glimpse of the person who had found the Eye of the Divine Sea. Their gazes were especially in search of the three true gods of the nine tribulations from the minor spirit realm, since they speculated that the eye of the divine sea might very well be in the hands of one of them. However, upon searching whether they were warriors of the Yen clan, the Flying Spirit clan, or the Vermilion Bird clan, they were shocked to find that none of the old clan leaders, the three true gods of the nine tribulations, had returned to this first floor. Were all three true gods of the nine tribulations dead? Contemplating this possibility, the surviving heavenly saint true gods from the Flying Spirit clan, the Vermilion Bird clan, and even the Yen clan felt their minds go blank. Seeing that none of the three true gods of the nine tribulations had appeared, everyone else also exclaimed, "If not the three true gods of the nine tribulations, who then has obtained the eye of the divine sea?" The crowd was in complete chaos. At this time, Yi Chun and Jiang Yao were also transported back to the first floor of the undersea divine palace. Xiaojiu and Shuanger were hiding within their spatial treasures and had not shown themselves. Thousand Extremes True God was also teleported back to the undersea divine palace's first floor along with Yi Chun. Your journey continues on Novelbin. Calm. However, Thousand Extremes True God had concealed his aura, so nobody noticed the presence of his true god of the nine tribulations. In the last few months within the undersea divine palace, after Mrs. He had left, Yi Chun and Jiang Yao visited the Elder Kudu several times in between their cultivation sessions. Naturally, parting was inevitable. In the final moments, Elder Kudu even took Thousand Extremes True God to the 33rd floor, arranging for Thousand Extremes True God to leave the undersea divine palace with Yi Chun and Jiang Yao and return to the barbaric wilderness continent. This was to fulfill his original promise to Thousand Extremes True God, to let him return to his homeland after the conclusion of the Great Purge. As for Elder Kudu, he and his sword spirit little boy continued to retreat into seclusion, relentlessly striving for the supreme realm beyond the sovereign lord. Once back on the first floor of the undersea divine palace, Thousand Extremes True God casually observed the heavenly saint true gods around him, while Yi Chun and Jiang Yao immediately noticed True Phoenix, Mulan True God, Palace Master Yuan Li, Heavenly Saint Long Xian, and others. True Phoenix, Palace Master Yuan Li, and the others also saw Yi Chun and Jiang Yao.
Yi Chun.
Princess Yao. True Phoenix, Mulan True God, Palace Master Yuan Li, Mu Yao Palace Master, Heavenly Saint Long Xian, and the rest quickly gathered around Yi Chun and Jiang Yao. Not just them, but the remaining Heavenly Saint True Gods of the Divine Phoenix clan, the saints from the barbaric wilderness continent, and even some Heavenly Saint True Gods who were familiar with Yi Chun like Elder Minghua, the Great Elder of the Skyfire Sacred Land from the Fiery Land continent, Elder Tianyan, Ding Xiaojia, the young master from the Zhoushan Palace of the Zhoushan continent, all gravitated towards Yi Chun. For a moment, the area where Yi Chun was became bustling and lively. "Are you all okay?" Thank goodness, we are all alive." Seeing that Yi Chun and Jiang Yao were fine and that no one from their group had died during the Great Purge, everyone was overwhelmed with excitement. "Yi Chun, you actually broke through to the late stages of Heavenly Saint. Princess Yao, your aura has also grown much stronger. Could it be you've encountered great opportunities within the undersea divine palace?" Many Heavenly Saint True Gods were amazed after noticing the changes in Yi Chun and Jiang Yao. "Yuan Li, you have also broken through to the realm of a true god." True Phoenix was surprised to see Palace Master Yuan Li's breakthrough. Palace Master Yuan Li smiled and said, "Along with Yi Chun, I went into the Void Gourd on the 11th floor of the Undersea Divine Palace for cultivation, and both of us made great progress. After that, we parted ways." The group chatted, sharing the experiences they had in the Undersea Divine Palace. "We just don't know who got the Eye of the Divine Sea. We need the help of the person who obtained it to leave the Undersea Divine Palace," True Phoenix said with some concern during the conversation. Hearing True Phoenix's worried words, Jiang Yao replied with a gentle smile, "Aunt True Phoenix, don't worry. The Eye of the Divine Sea is indeed with Yi Chun." The Eye of the Divine Sea was with Yi Chun. Jiang Yao's gentle words struck everyone's minds like a bolt from the blue. Whoosh! In an instant, all eyes turned toward Yi Chun. "Friend Yi Chun, is it true? Is it really you who have obtained the Eye of the Divine Sea?" At this moment, Elder Tianyan from the land of Tianyan and others trembled as they asked Yi Chun. Chapter 628 Changes in the Minor Spirit Realm Structure _2. When they saw Yi Chun nodding with a light smile, their minds instantly turned blank. Yi Chun had obtained the Eye of the Divine Sea, which meant that their safe departure from the Undersea Divine Palace was now without any issue. In an instant, the area erupted with cheers. The cheering in this area naturally caught the attention of the nearby areas. When the martial artists from the adjacent areas heard that a youth from the barbaric wilderness continent named Yi Chun had received the Eye of the Divine Sea, they too rushed over to Yi Chun's side, shouting with excitement. Apart from the circle where Yi Chun was, there were the circles of the North Ming clan and the Blood God clan. When the clan leaders of the North Ming clan and the Blood God clan, along with the tens of thousands of sword cultivators who had met Yi Chun and Zhang Yao on the 32nd floor of the Undersea Divine Palace, spread the news that Yi Chun had obtained the Eye of the Divine Sea and promised to rescue them, it took less than a moment for all the surviving warriors in the Grand Hall to learn of it. This time, the person who had obtained the Eye of the Divine Sea was named Yi Chun. Almost everyone rushed toward the area where Yi Chun was. How could they not rush toward Yi Chun? After all, only Yi Chun with the Eye of the Divine Sea could save them from the annihilation of the Great Cleansing Catastrophe. Of course, among the crowd, there were two groups of people who felt a chill in their hearts at this moment. These two groups were the Heavenly Saint True Gods from the Flying Spirit clan and the Vermilion Bird clan. These two clans had once joined forces to besiege the barbaric wilderness continent, and they had deadly blood feuds with the Divine Phoenix clan where Zhang Yao belonged. When they learned that the Eye of the Divine Sea was obtained by Yi Chun, a youth from the barbaric wilderness continent whom the princess of the Divine Phoenix clan, Zhang Yao, was fond of, their hearts felt as if they had deteriorated into ash. Especially those who had participated in the besieging of the Divine Phoenix clan and the barbaric wilderness continent from the Flying Spirit clan and the Vermilion Bird clan. Heavenly Saint True Gods knew that it would be difficult for them to leave the Undersea Divine Palace safely now. Yi Chun stood in the middle of the Grand Hall. He could see the countless warriors surging towards him with joy, and he could also see the faces of the Heavenly Saint True Gods from the Flying Spirit clan and the Vermilion Bird clan turning pale in an instant. Fellow Taoists! Yi Chun instantly soared to the mid-air of the Grand Hall, and his powerful aura swept toward all the warriors, stopping the frantic crowding of many. When Yi Chun's aura was fully released, nearly all the warriors in the venue held their breath and trembled, for they realized that the aura Yi Chun exhibited was a formidable one they had never encountered before. It was even stronger than the auras of the ancient emperors of the Yen clan, the elder chieftains of the Flying Spirit clan, and the elder chieftains of the Vermilion Bird clan whom they had felt before, all of whom were true gods of the 9 tribulations.
Aura.
At this moment, even the true Phoenix and Mulan True God, upon sensing Yi Chun's true aura after its release, were shocked to the core. They had not expected that Yi Chun's advancement to the late stage of the God King realm was not simply that, and even his true combat aura seemed to have surpassed the level of the 9 tribulations true gods from the minor spirit realm. How could this not amaze the true Phoenix and Mulan True God? Even when entering the Undersea Divine Palace, they knew Yi Chun was incredibly powerful, even capable of clashing with them, but they could never imagine, in just a short year, Yi Chun had grown to such an extent and left them far behind. The aura of young friend Yi Chun. The aura of Taoist Yi Chun. Brother Yi Chun's aura. Enjoy more content from Novelbin.com. My God, this aura. It surpasses the true gods of the 9 tribulations from the minor spirit realm? Could it be the God King realm? No, breaking through to the God King realm is said to result in being directly transported outside of the Undersea Divine Palace. It's impossible for him to be in the God King realm. Could it be some powerful force we are unaware of? It's too powerful. Not only were True Phoenix and Mulan True God in shock, but others beside them, Palace Master Yuan Li, Muyao Palace Master, Elder Minghua, Tianyan Elder Ancestor, Mystery Heavenly Saint, the young Master Ding Xiaojia of Jumong Continent, and even all the warriors in the Great Hall were completely astonished, especially the true gods from the Flying Spirit clan and the Vermilion Bird clan, who bore grudges against Yi Chun. Their hearts were once again pounding. They hadn't expected that their 9 Tribulations True God clan leader would vanish without a trace, while their adversary, Yi Chun, had become so powerful, not only obtaining the Eye of the Divine Sea but also experiencing such an explosive increase in strength. In the midst of the shock, there was only a bright gleam in Zhang Yao's beautiful eyes. Zhang Yao had personally accompanied Yi Chun in his cultivation and had witnessed his progress step by step. Zhang Yao knew that Yi Chun's growth to this extent was the result of many days of arduous cultivation, having gone through countless terrifying trials and crises. At this moment, as Yi Chun stunned everyone, Zhang Yao felt happy and proud of Yi Chun. In the void, Yi Chun's release of aura wasn't to surprise these people, but to stop the chaotic scene of people rushing towards him in a disorderly manner. Now, seeing that everyone had indeed stopped their unruly behavior and was instead looking at him in shock, Yi Chun couldn't help but shake his head in resignation. However, as long as it achieved the desired effect, that was what mattered. Yi Chun looked at the crowd that had stopped pushing forward and looked towards the familiar and completely unfamiliar faces among them. He first nodded and smiled at Yen Linger from the Yen clan, and then said to her, "Friends from the Yen clan, you do not need to worry about the safety of the ancient emperor. As far as I know, he has successfully broken through to the God King realm and has already been transported out of the undersea divine palace." Yi Chun had already learned about the situation of the Yen clan's ancient emperor from Granny He, and seeing the worried looks on the faces of Yen Linger and the other Yen clan warriors, he informed them about the ancient emperor's situation first. "My grandfather has broken through to the God King realm?" Yen Linger had been extremely worried about the safety of the ancient emperor of the Yen clan, but upon hearing Yi Chun's words, she immediately went from panic to great joy. Not just Yen Linger, but other true gods and heavenly saints of the Yen clan were also overjoyed. Even though many of their heavenly saints and true gods had perished within the undersea divine palace, as their ancient emperor had successfully broken through to the God King realm, it represented a tremendous boost in strength for the entire Yen clan. Yi Chun's words, coupled with the joyous expressions of Yen Linger and the other Yen clan warriors, made the other warriors extremely envious of the Yen clan. At this point, the warriors from the Flying Spirit clan and the Vermilion Bird clan felt their hearts skip a beat, with a hint of anticipation rising. Could it be that our 2 clan leaders have also broken through to the God King realm, which is why they haven't appeared here? As they were lost in their wild thoughts, Yi Chun's gaze moved from the faces of the people of the Yen clan to the faces of the Flying Spirit clan and the Vermilion Bird clan. Yi Chun said indifferently to these warriors, "As for the 2 Tribulations True God clan leaders from the Flying Spirit clan and the Vermilion Bird clan, they, indeed, did not break through to the God King realm. The reason they didn't appear here is because I killed them." Chapter 629 - Revenge, Ecstasy. "The reason they didn't show up here is because they have already been killed by me." Yi Chun's words silenced the entire hall so suddenly that not even the sound of a breath could be heard. Both the elder clan leaders of the Flying Spirit clan and the Vermilion Bird clan were killed? 2 Tribulations True Gods just like that were dead? Even though everyone had already felt Yi Chun's terrifying aura earlier, upon hearing with their own ears that 2 Tribulations True Gods had fallen at his hands, they still found it utterly inconceivable and were immensely shocked. 9 Tribulations True Gods were the most powerful beings in the minor spirit realm, the mightiest individuals of 2 great ancient clans, and they were dead just like that. Initially, when they did not return to the first floor of the Great Hall, everyone speculated that they might have encountered murderous lifeforms within the undersea divine palace and met with an accident, but it never crossed anyone's mind that these 2 mighty figures could have fallen to the youth standing before them. The impact this had on the crowd was even more intense than the earlier news of the ancient emperor from the Yen clan breaking through to the God King realm. After all, the ancient emperor of the Yen clan had already lingered in the 9 Tribulations for countless years, and though his breakthrough was shocking, it was still acceptable. But this young man, Yi Chun, was merely at the late stage of the heavenly saint realm, yet he was able to slay 2 Tribulations True Gods. What further shocked everyone was that this youth dared to openly declare the slaughtering of the 2 old clan leaders right in front of countless heavenly saint true gods from the Vermilion Bird clan and the Flying Spirit clan. Clearly, he didn't even consider these heavenly saint true gods worth his attention. He wasn't afraid of their retaliation at all. But then again, upon reflection, everyone realized that Yi Chun indeed had no reason to fear retaliation. Not to mention that Yi Chen's own strength was already terrifying. Just possessing the eye of the divine sea was enough for countless heavenly saint true gods from the Flying Spirit and Vermilion Bird clans to beseech him. Even if the heavenly saint true gods of the Flying Spirit and Vermilion Bird clans united against Yi Chun, if he chose not to act, the other martial artists would certainly not stand idly by. Yi Chun was the key to their survival. If the Vermilion Bird and Flying Spirit clans dared to touch Yi Chun, the heavenly saint true gods from the other three ancient clans, the Yen clan, the North Ming clan, the Blood God clan, would not stand for it, nor would all the other martial artists. The heavenly saint true gods of the Flying Spirit and Vermilion Bird clans clearly understood this logic. After hearing that their old clan leaders had truly died, even if they were extremely horrified, they didn't dare utter any harsh words to Yi Chun, nor did they even dare to raise their heads and meet his gaze. While these people didn't dare to say anything, Yi Chun had no intention of easily letting them off. The enmity of the Divine Phoenix clan, the hatred for the descended true gods who brought harm to the barbaric wilderness continent. If not avenged now, then when? Yi Chen's gaze swept across everyone in the Great Hall, and finally settled on the heavenly saint true gods of the Flying Spirit and Vermilion Bird clans. He slowly said, "I have obtained the eye of the divine sea, and I will help everyone else escape the mass purge and slaughter. However, the Vermilion Bird and Flying Spirit clans have some scores that we must settle first." Whoosh! The words of Yi Chun stirred a wave of commotion among the people. From the previous statement where Yi Chun claimed to have killed the two Nine Tribulation True God clan leaders of the Vermilion Bird clan and the Flying Spirit clan, everyone understood that Yi Chun likely held a grudge against these clans. Now, hearing that Yi Chun wanted to settle the score with the two clans, everyone immediately realized that this feud was probably not light. Many people quickly transmitted their voices secretly, trying to probe into the entanglements between Yi Chun and the Vermilion Bird clan and the Flying Spirit clan. When they heard that this great vendetta was related to the Divine Phoenix clan where Zhang Yao came from, and when countless true gods from both the Vermilion Bird clan and the Flying Spirit clan descended to the world to besiege the people of the barbaric wilderness continent, including Yi Chun, many remembered the great battle between the three ancient clans that happened in the Minor Spirit realm. They remembered how the strongest ancient clan in the Minor Spirit realm, the Divine Phoenix clan, after their Nine Tribulation True God seniors left for another world, were besieged by the combined forces of the Vermilion Bird clan and the Flying Spirit clan. They thought of the countless heavenly saints and true gods of the entire Divine Phoenix clan who died in the great battle. The whole Divine Phoenix clan was almost completely uprooted from the Minor Spirit realm. Even their greatest Divine Phoenix city was occupied. Then everyone looked at Yi Chun and Zhang Yao by his side. All knew that this great vengeance, Yi Chun was finally about to completely avenge the Divine Phoenix clan. Back then, the Divine Phoenix clan was good to the Vermilion Bird clan and the Flying Spirit clan. Unexpectedly, later on, these two clans besieged the Divine Phoenix clan for the Phoenix Divine Blood and the Nirvana Pool. Now, the Divine Phoenix clan has risen a powerful Zhang Yao, and they have also gained a powerful young man like Yi Chun to aid them. This time, this blood feud might finally be settled completely. Warriors unrelated to the Flying Spirit clan and the Vermilion Bird clan sighed in their hearts. In their sighs, as the heavenly saint true gods of both the Flying Spirit clan and the Vermilion Bird clan turned deathly pale when Yi Chun mentioned settling accounts. Yi Chun directly said to the Thousand Extremes true god by his side, "Senior Thousand Extremes, please make your move and find out those who endangered the Divine Phoenix clan in the past, as well as those who joined forces to invade the barbaric wilderness continent." Yi Chun had previously talked with the Thousand Extremes true god about many things that happened on the barbaric wilderness continent and learned that the Thousand Extremes true god had a powerful and extraordinary soul-searching divine ability. Even the 8 Tribulation and 9 Tribulation true gods from the Minor Spirit realm could have many things instantly revealed through a soul search. Yi Chun had mentioned this to the Thousand Extremes true god before, requesting his help in dealing with the enemies from the Flying Spirit clan and the Vermilion Bird clan, and of course the Thousand Extremes true god agreed on the spot. Now, Yi Chun let the Thousand Extremes true god make his move. Seeing Yi Chun call out to the seemingly ordinary Thousand Extremes true god next to him, Many were still wondering who this person was. But when the Thousand Extremes true god smiled and nodded at Yi Chun, instantly unleashing his aura which enveloped all the heavenly saint true gods of the Flying Spirit clan and the Vermilion Bird clan in the hall, everyone was shocked, because they discovered that this seemingly ordinary warrior, when he truly unleashed his aura, was that of a Nine Tribulation true god. Moreover, it wasn't just any ordinary Nine Tribulation true god's aura. The combative aura he released seemed to be countless times stronger than that of an ordinary Nine Tribulation true god. Even some of the Seven Tribulation and Eight Tribulation true gods from both the Flying Spirit clan and the Vermilion Bird clan, who thought of fleeing or resisting when they heard Yi Chun was about to take action, were instantly suppressed by the Thousand Extremes true god. With one move from the Thousand Extremes true god, nearly tens of thousands of heavenly saint true gods from both the Flying Spirit clan and the Vermilion Bird clan were completely subdued. Frightening. Unbelievably frightening. This Yi Chun is truly amazing. Just any warrior by his side is so hidden and powerful. It seems that even without the eye of the Divine Sea, relying on him or any one of these warriors alone, the Flying Spirit clan and the Vermilion Bird clan stand no chance of escaping. Countless heavenly saint true gods were exclaiming. These people did not know that Thousand Extremes true god was personally nurtured by the Sovereign Realm powerhouse Elder Hardcross as his junior disciple, so of course, he could not be measured by the standards of the average true god from the minor spirit realm. Even Yi Chun, now upon calculation, was no match for Thousand Extremes true god. Boom! 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 In just a few breaths of time, Thousand Extremes true god, with his sky-reaching techniques, had divided the heavenly saint true gods of the Flying Spirit clan and Vermilion Bird clan into two groups. One group was comprised of the heavenly saint true gods who had not participated in the incident involving the Divine Phoenix clan and the barbaric wilderness continent, while the other group was made up of the enemies who had endangered the Divine Phoenix clan and invaded the barbaric wilderness continent. Young friend Yi Chun, these are the people you are looking for. You shall deal with them. Thousand Extremes true god said to Yi Chun with a smile. Yi Chun nodded and responded with a smile. Thank you, Senior Thousand Extremes. Then Yi Chun's gaze fell directly onto these people. Among them, there were many at the seventh or eighth tribulation of true gods, and at this moment all were trembling. Turning back, Yi Chun looked at Zhang Yao, the true phoenix, Mulan true god, as well as the heavenly saint true gods of the Divine Phoenix clan. He saw that the eyes of Zhang Yao, the true phoenix, Mulan true god, and others were all red. Clearly, seeing these enemies reminded them of their fellow clan members of the Divine Phoenix clan who had died. Yi Chun held Zhang Yao's hand tightly and asked her, the true phoenix and Mulan true god, how should these people be dealt with? Zhang Yao, the true phoenix, and Mulan true god all had red eyes. After exchanging glances, the true phoenix bit her lip and said, we would love nothing more than to kill them with our own hands, but we also don't wish to stain our hands with the blood of these disasters. Yi Chun, just leave them here in the Undersea Divine Palace, and let the Great Purge Catastrophe eradicate them for good. Great Purge Catastrophe, without the aid of the Eye of Creation and Eye of the Divine Sea to escape, these people would have no other fate but death. Hearing the decision from the true phoenix and seeing Zhang Yao, Mulan true god, as well as the heavenly saint true gods of the Divine Phoenix clan all nodding, agreeing not to cast another glance at these enemies, Yi Chun nodded. Then let heaven take their lives from these people. Whoosh! With a wide sweep of his arm, Yi Chun took out the Eye of the Divine Sea and said to everyone, apart from these people, I shall save the rest of you from this place now. Swoosh! 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 Following that, in a series of flashing lights, Zhang Yao, the true phoenix, Mulan true god, the master of Yuanli Palace, Thousand Extremes true god, Elder Minghua, all were teleported out of the Undersea Divine Palace. Yi Chun, holding the Eye of the Divine Sea, flew out of the Undersea Divine Palace as well. In the end, within the first-floor main hall of the Undersea Divine Palace, only the group of blood-stained enemies from the Vermilion Bird clan and the Flying Spirit clan remained, left in the hall, howling in insane fear, and when the Great Purge Catastrophe finally arrived in full force, a stream of blood-red air flowed through the main hall, conclusively ending the lives of these remaining people. Outside the undersea divine palace. As the day when the Great Purge catastrophe was to conclude approached, the area of the divine North Sea near the undersea divine palace was swarmed with countless people. These people included warriors of the True Chi realm, Spirit Sea realm, and rotating Pill realm from all the ancient clans and major forces of the Minor Spirit realm, as well as the former Yen clan ancient emperor who had broken through to the God King realm and had been transmitted out of the undersea divine palace. Further, there were Bing Yi, Bing Wu, Bing Qi, and others who had been waiting outside for Yi Chun. Everyone waited, anticipating the final outcome of the Great Purge catastrophe. They did not know whether anyone would obtain the Eye of the Divine Sea, whether they could save countless warriors from the eradication of the Great Purge catastrophe. Even the ancient emperor of the Yen clan looked worried. When he left the undersea divine palace, he had only heard that the Eyes of Creation had been obtained on both the 6th and 14th floors. He knew that those who got the Eyes of Creation might have a chance to escape the Great Purge catastrophe, but he had no knowledge of what happened afterward, whether the Eye of the Divine Sea had been found or not. Thinking of his Yen clan members, thinking of his granddaughter Yen Linger, he was filled with worry. Meanwhile, Bing Yi, Bing Wu, and Bing Qi were full of longing. However, they believed that their master, Yi Chun, would certainly come out of the undersea divine palace. He must. As countless people waited, a figure flew out from the undersea divine palace. Bing Yi and the ancient emperor of the Yen clan were the first to shout, "Someone is coming out!" Swish, 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 swish. As Bing Yi and the ancient emperor of the Yen clan shouted, everyone saw that countless figures, dense like a swarm of locusts, emerged from the undersea divine palace. Finally, Bing Yi, Bing Wu, Bing Qi spotted Yi Chun among the crowd. Overwhelmed with excitement, Bing Yi, Bing Wu, and Bing Qi called out, "Master!" As Yi Chun, Zhang Yao, Yen Linger, and others emerged from the undersea divine palace, stirring excitement and shouts among the countless waiting warriors outside the divine North Sea. Continue reading at novelbin.com. Far beyond the celestial spirit star, 1,000,000 miles into the starry sky in a location that was rushing towards the celestial spirit star and 5 other star continents, where observation enchantments had been set up earlier on the star continents, 5 divine honorables suddenly stood up, faces alight with wild joy. That is, someone has emerged from the Great Purge catastrophe of the celestial spirit star. Not just below 33 individuals, but a full 100,000 people or more. This indicates that someone on this celestial spirit star has discovered the ultimate treasure, saving countless warriors engulfed by the Great Purge catastrophe's eradication. Heavens, the little fragment of a star map we got that contains 5 star continents. There indeed is a star continent among them that has obtained the ultimate treasure, securing the qualifications to attend the assessment at the 9 Great Divine Institutes. Chapter 630-. The 5 Great Earth Divine Venerable. How could these 5 divine venerables not be overjoyed? One must know that within the entire Wanmu Mountain divine nation, there are hundreds of millions of stars, hundreds of millions of star continents. For them to have the opportunity to auction for the location of 5 star continents that had experienced the great cleansing calamity was already a sign of great fortune. But even after acquiring the locations of these 5 star continents, the 5 divine venerables knew that the chance for someone to obtain the ultimate treasure of the great cleansing calamity from these 5 star continents was extremely slim, almost next to impossible. After all, whenever a great cleansing calamity erupted across tens of thousands of star continents in the lower realm, the chance of someone passing through and obtaining the ultimate treasure was minuscule, and it would be considered very good if even a few hundred obtained the ultimate treasure. Out of these tens of thousands of star continents, they only obtained the location of 5, and the probability of simply stumbling upon one that housed an ultimate treasure was understandably tiny. Initially, these 5 divine venerables, while observing these 5 star continents, saw that the great cleansing calamity on star continents such as Heavenly Fierce Star, Skyflame Star, and Bright Moon Star had already ended without any signs of anyone obtaining the ultimate treasure of the great cleansing calamity, and their hearts grew cold. However, they unexpectedly discovered from Celestial Spirit Star an incredible number of warriors who had been rescued from the great cleansing calamity and found signs of the emergence of the ultimate treasure. This naturally filled them with immense joy. Let's go to Celestial Spirit Star. We must seize that precious opportunity bestowed by the great cleansing calamity for the ultimate treasure, the slot to participate in the examination for the 9 major divine institutes. The 5 divine venerables, unable to conceal their excitement, steered the mysterious heavenly divine armament flying boat at extreme speed towards Celestial Spirit Star. Inside the mysterious heavenly divine armament flying boat, the true God youth referred to as Linner by the 5 divine venerables, was so thrilled that his hands trembled somewhat. He never thought he would have the chance to obtain a slot to participate in the examination for the 9 major divine institutes. Originally, he believed that his 5 masters would come back empty-handed. But lo and behold, a miracle had indeed happened on Celestial Spirit Star. The slot is ours. It's ours. Having this slot, even if I'm not selected by the 9 major divine institutes during the examination, as long as I perform well, I can still join other lesser divine institutes within the divine nation, which will greatly enhance my strength. Perhaps like my 5 masters, I can achieve the status of Earth Divine Venerable, or even surpass my masters and become a heavenly divine venerable. It's not just a dream. The youth known as Linner had already considered the slot to participate in the 9 major divine institutes examination from Celestial Spirit Star as his own. In his mind, a lower realm star continent like Celestial Spirit Star was hardly noteworthy. His 5 masters were Earth Divine Venerables, and though they were the lowest among divine venerables, they were still far beyond the existence of all warriors from the lower realm star continents. One should know that it was already remarkable for a lower realm star continent to produce a lower god king, and such a god king would surely journey to the divine nation to seek his fortune. The strongest remaining in the lower realm star continents would be, at most, a 9 calamities true god. What is a 9 calamities true god? Not to mention a 9 calamities true god, even lower god kings, middle god kings, and even upper god kings were nothing in the eyes of the rank of Earth Divine Venerable that his 5 masters possessed. The true god youth known as Linner knew well that his 5 masters had even annihilated dozens of desolate star continents to cultivate their techniques. To a divine venerable, destroying star continents was incredibly easy. There was no issue whatsoever in seizing treasures from the lower realm. Even the individual who obtained the ultimate treasure from the great cleansing calamity would at most be at the level of a 9 calamities true god, and would be utterly unable to block their way. Bang! 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 In the midst of the 5 divine venerables' excitement and the youth called Linner's exhilaration, the mysterious heavenly divine armament flying boat sped towards Celestial Spirit Star at an incomprehensible velocity. The mysterious heavenly divine armament flying boat was incredibly fast, covering hundreds of millions of miles within just dozens of breaths, and soon they saw Celestial Spirit Star from afar, that is, the minor spirit realm star continent. At this time, outside the northern dark divine sea of the minor spirit realm, seeing a group of warriors fleeing from the undersea divine palace, those waiting outside were completely filled with joy, eagerly welcoming their awaited ones. In the crowd, the ancient emperor of the Yen clan, who had already broken through to the God King realm and was now a lower God King, was the fastest and instantly flew into a group of Yen clan warriors, arriving in front of his granddaughter, Yen Linger. Linger, how did you come out? Did you find the Eye of Creation? Or did someone save you with the divine Sea Eye? And all our clan members who escaped annihilation must have been saved by the divine Sea Eye. Who obtained the divine Sea Eye? The ancient emperor of the Yen clan asked Yen Linger urgently as he flew to her side. Yen Linger turned to the ancient emperor of the Yen clan and said, "Grandfather, it was Yi Chan who saved us. He obtained the divine Sea Eye."
Ye Chan.
Upon hearing Yen Linger's words, the ancient emperor of the Yen clan was utterly stunned. He had not expected that when he specifically went to the barbaric wilderness continent to inform Yi Chan of the imminent divine catastrophe in the minor spirit realm, he had hoped that this young man, who had been to the minor ultimate heaven, would perform well. Unexpectedly, Yi Chan did indeed obtain the Eye of the Divine Sea, and he really saved countless lives. Yes, my chief, it was Yi Chan who saved all of us. Other warriors from the Yen clan also excitedly chimed in. These warriors went on to say, "Not only did Yi Chun save us, his strength is also unimaginably extreme." Those two Nine Calamity true gods, the old clan chiefs of the Flying Spirit clan and the Vermilion Bird clan who once besieged the Divine Phoenix clan, were both killed by Yi Chun. Boom! The words of these Yen clan warriors further confounded the ancient emperor of the Yen clan. Both the old clan chief of the Flying Spirit clan and the old clan chief of the Vermilion Bird clan, the two Nine Calamity true gods, were killed by Yi Chun. The ancient emperor of the Yen clan remembered that when he had gone to the barbaric wilderness continent, Yi Chun was far from being a match for those two old clan chiefs. The ancient emperor of the Yen clan also remembered that after he parted ways with those two old clan chiefs on the 18th floor of the Undersea Divine Palace, those two continued to venture deeper. Unexpectedly, within the Undersea Divine Palace, Yi Chun had managed to increase his strength to such an extent that he could even slay the two Nine Calamity true gods he had originally had no hope of defeating. The gaze of the ancient emperor of the Yen clan couldn't help but turn towards the many figures flying out, seeking out the figure of Yi Chun. The ancient emperor of the Yen clan knew that this young man, who had performed such a miracle during the divine catastrophe in the Undersea Divine Palace, would achieve accomplishments far surpassing his own. Although he had already broken through to the God-King realm, the ancient emperor of the Yen clan had a premonition that he should not provoke Yi Chun, otherwise, great trouble would befall him. Just as the ancient emperor of the Yen clan and the people of the Yen clan had come together, the people of the North Sea clan and the Blood God clan were also gathering with their own members who had flown out from the Undersea Divine Palace, the Heavenly Saint True Gods. Through the narratives of the Heavenly Saint True Gods, the warriors of the North Sea clan and the Blood God clan who had not been involved in the Great Cleansing Catastrophe, and who were of the True Chi realm, Spirit Sea realm, and Rotating Pill realm knew of the significant events that had taken place within the Undersea Divine Palace. They also learned that the warriors from their clans were saved by a warrior from the barbaric wilderness continent named Yi Chun. Moreover, they learned of the demise of the old clan chiefs of the two great ancient clans of the Minor Spirit realm, the Flying Spirit clan and the Vermilion Bird clan, and the extensive deaths among their Heavenly Saint True Gods. The warriors of the North Sea clan and the Blood God clan knew that now, the structure of the entire Minor Spirit realm had completely changed. In the midst of the crowd, warriors from various powers and sects gathered, but the warriors of the Flying Spirit clan and the Vermilion Bird clan only saw a mere few hundred Heavenly Saint True Gods flying out from their clans. When they heard what had happened to their clan, these lower realm warriors who had been waiting outside were instantly scared pale. They knew that both of their great ancient clans, the Flying Spirit clan and the Vermilion Bird clan, were finished. Revenge? Let alone these lower realm warriors who were of the True Chi realm, Spirit Sea realm, Rotating Pill realm, and who did not even qualify to take part in the great battle against the Divine Phoenix clan. Even if they were strong, they would definitely not dare to provoke Yi Chun again. Their old clan chiefs, the Nine Calamity True Gods, had already died at the hands of Yi Chun, so how could they dare to seek death? Furthermore, they knew that if there were any Heavenly Saint True Gods from their clans who had survived, it was because they had not taken part in the siege against the Divine Phoenix clan, and those who had perished were all involved in the killing of countless Divine Phoenix clanspeople. An eye for an eye, they would not risk their lives for those people. Enjoy new stories from Novelbin.com. At this moment, in the midst of the crowd, none were more excited than Bing Yi, Bing Chi, and Bing Shi, along with other Heavenly Saint Realm Ice Guardians. They were welcoming back their master, and they had also heard the surrounding buzzing voices discussing how their master had obtained the Undersea Divine Palace's most precious treasure, the Eye of the Divine Sea, and saved everyone. This made the Ice Guardians immensely proud. Their master Yi Chun was indeed the most formidable and miraculous youth. Even the great cleansing catastrophe had not been able to defeat him. Master! Bing Yi, Bing Chi, 3 True God Realm Ice Guardians, and Bing Shi along with the other 10 Heavenly Saint Realm Ice Guardians surrounded Yi Chun, Zhang Yao, Palace Master Yuan Li, True Phoenix, Mulan True God, and others, babbling and asking about what had happened in the Undersea Divine Palace during the Great Cleansing Catastrophe. Outside the North Sea Divine Sea, the commotion was already at its peak. Just as the ancient emperor of the Yen clan was gathering the people of the Yen clan to express their gratitude to Yi Chun. Boom! Around the North Sea, Divine Sea, a frighteningly powerful voice echoed from the highest heavens as the tens of thousands of warriors who had emerged and those who were waiting suddenly heard it. Then, these tens of thousands of warriors saw an incredibly mystical flying boat instantly cut across the sky, appearing above the void heaven, above the minor spirit realm. Upon seeing this flying boat, Yi Chun and Jiang Yao exchanged glances, both revealing shocked expressions in their eyes, because both of them could see that this flying boat was a mysterious heavenly divine armament flying boat. Then what shocked them even more, and what filled the other tens of thousands of warriors with dread, occurred. The flying boat's prohibitions were suddenly unleashed, and 6 figures flew out from within. Among these 6 figures, one was a true God realm youth, and the other 5 exuded the aura of divine venerables. They were 5 great divine venerables. As soon as these 5 great divine venerables flew out of the mysterious heavenly divine armament flying boat, they stood in the air, looking down at everyone on the ground. One of the divine venerables even announced to the tens of thousands of warriors below, "Who among you obtained the ultimate treasure of the divine catastrophe and saved everyone? Hand over that spot to participate in the assessment at the 9 Great God Institutes." Chapter 631 Threats. The voice of this divine venerable rolled across the heavens and earth, shocking all the people on the land. The martial artists on the ground had never seen such domineering presence. It was almost as if such beings could crush the entire minor spirit realm to dust with a flick of their hands. Even many true gods who had seen divine kings visiting the minor spirit realm throughout the star domain had not felt such an aura from those divine kings. And the Yen clan's ancient emperor, who had just broken through to the God-King realm, seemed like a spirit sea realm martial artist facing a heavenly saint, his aura completely suppressed when compared with the one speaking in the void. Moreover, this aura wasn't emanating from one person. There were a full 5 individuals with such staggering presence. Who were these newcomers? Where did they come from? What realm were they of? The hundreds of thousands of martial artists on the ground were entirely shaken. Upon hearing the speaker mention the ultimate secret treasure from the great cleansing cataclysm that would save everyone, many martial artists on the ground quickly turned their gaze towards Yi Chun in an instant. As if realizing that such attention could bring immense trouble to Yi Chun, these martial artists hurriedly withdrew their gazes from Yi Chun. After all, the speaker had mentioned a spot in the assessment at the 9 Divine Institutes, and although the crowd didn't know what it was, they understood without thinking that the terrifying beings above had come here for that very thing. But even though the martial artists withdrew their gazes, the action of them looking toward Yi Chun together had not escaped the notice of the 5 divine venerables in the sky. "It seems that the one who obtained that ultimate treasure is you." Boom! The 5 divine venerables, together with the true God youth, the 6 individuals in the sky, all set their sights directly on Yi Chun. A mere late-stage heavenly saint youth was actually able to obtain the ultimate treasure of the great cleansing cataclysm? When they sensed Yi Chun's realm, the 5 divine venerables were taken aback. However, they quickly revealed a look of unspeakable greed in their eyes, directly addressing Yi Chun. "You must be a genius youth of celestial spirit star, but no matter how talented you are, promptly hand over that spot. If you could obtain the ultimate treasure, then you should know the preciousness of that spot. Such a treasure is not something a lower realm martial artist can possess." Whoosh! Being stared at by such important figures, directly under their watchful eyes, many martial artists from the minor spirit realm who had been close to Yi Chun were scared stiff and quickly moved to the side. They dared not meddle in such a situation. A careless move could cost them their lives. Although many had distanced themselves from Yi Chun, there were also many who, despite knowing that the situation was not right, moved directly closer to him. Jiang Yao held onto Yi Chun's hand tightly, without the slightest intention of letting go. Jiang Yao, of course, recognized the auras of the divine venerables in the sky, but even if the divine venerables threatened Yi Chun, she would face it together with him. True Phoenix, Mulan True God, and others also stood firmly by Yi Chun's side, while Bing Yi, Bing Wu, and Bing Qi, the 3 true God guards, sensing the crisis their master might face, drew their weapons. Even though Bing Yi and the others knew that the newcomers were even more formidable than their old master, the once upper god king known as the Frozen Divine King, they too would guard Yi Chun. Seeing those close to him still standing with him under the overwhelming aura of the 5 divine venerables in the sky, not retreating in fear like the martial artists from the minor spirit realm, a touch of emotion surged in Yi Chun's heart. But Yi Chun also knew that he was now truly standing at the eye of the storm, truly in the midst of an absolute crisis. With the 5 mighty divine venerables and his current strength, let alone 5, even if there were just one, he would be absolutely unable to defeat it. He still had 1 killing technique and 1 evasive technique left from Emperor Yan's 3 flashes and 3 kills, but they had become ineffective after leaving the Undersea Divine Palace. And the feathers that Mrs. He had bestowed upon Jiang Yao, which allowed for 3 instances of aid, had likewise lost their potency after the great cleansing catastrophe of the Undersea Divine Palace. Yi Chun knew that his strongest defensive heaven-reaching divine artifact, the flying boat, was useless to think about. He just knew it absolutely couldn't withstand a being of the divine venerable level. Discover stories at novelbin.com. What to do? What to do? Could it really be that, according to the demands of these 5 divine venerables, the hard-earned spot to attend the 9 Great Divine Institutes exam, obtained only through finding the eye of the Divine Sea, must be surrendered without a fight? Yi Chun certainly didn't want to. Without that exam spot, he would miss the chance to go to the 9 Great Divine Institutes, losing the opportunity to cultivate in the most powerful divine institute in the Divine Kingdom. But even if unwilling, what could be done? Yi Chun knew that under the watchful eyes of the 5 divine venerables, if he didn't hand over the spot to attend the exam at the 9 Great Divine Institutes, he would only have death to face. Even giving it up, he might still be killed to silence him. Countless thoughts flashed through Yi Chun's mind like lightning as he sought a solution, and meanwhile Jiang Yao, True Phoenix, Mulan, True God, Thousand Extremes, True God, and even the ancient emperor of the Yen clan began to send messages to Yi Chun in rapid succession. Yi Chun, what should we do? Grandma and the others haven't come back yet. How do we resist these 5 divine venerables? Jiang Yao said to Yi Chun, fraught with worry. Yi Chun, who are they? Could it be that they are messengers from the Divine Kingdom? And what about that 9 Great Divine Institutes exam spot they mentioned? True Phoenix and Mulan True God were also somewhat panicked as they sent messages to Yi Chun. And Thousand Extremes True God even sent a message to Yi Chun. These 5 people are of divine venerable realm, and I am absolutely no match for them. Only my master can withstand these people, but my master has entered closed-door cultivation and might not be aware of what's happening outside. Yi Chun, my friend, I shall attempt to communicate with my master. The ancient emperor of the Yen clan also anxiously said to Yi Chun, Friend Yi Chun, the people who have arrived are feared to be divine venerables, according to legend, stronger than those of the God-King realm. We absolutely cannot withstand them. Furthermore, there were messages from the Lord of Yuanli Palace, the Lord of Muyao Palace, the old ancestor Minghua, 3-eyed skeletons, true god Qing Shuang. A host of people concerned for Yi Chun resonated in his mind. At that moment, the 5 divine venerables in the sky seemed to have grown impatient with waiting, and directly said to Yi Chun, Young one, aren't you handing it over yet? Do you really want us to make a move and take it ourselves? Indeed, as soon as they knew it was Yi Chun who had obtained the ultimate treasure, they wanted to personally take the 9 Great Divine Institutes exam spot. However, these 5 divine venerables had never seen what the spot for the 9 Great Divine Institutes exam looked like, and they were worried that if they made a move personally and damaged the treasure, it would be a loss not worth the risk. Therefore, they wanted to use their divine might to force Yi Chun to obediently offer up the treasure. Of course, if Yi Chun still refused to hand it over, they were already unable to restrain themselves and were prepared to take action. While these 5 divine venerables were still pressuring Yi Chun due to their concerns about the treasure, the divine youth named Linner at their side could not hold back any longer. He directly said to the 5 divine venerables, Masters, why bother with such trifling talk with these lower realm rabble? Just kill them and perform a soul search, and then the treasure will directly fall into our hands. We don't have that much time to waste with them. Chapter 632- Who dares to touch my brother Yi Chun? Boom! The words of this true god youth, Liner, caused the faces of True Phoenix, Mulan True God, and others below to change drastically. And Jiang Yao's mind also exploded in an instant. All Jiang Yao could think was that if these people wanted to kill Yi Chun, she would fight to the death against them. At that moment, from the spatial treasures on Yi Chun and Jiang Yao's bodies, two figures flew out. These two figures were Xiaojiu and Shuanger, whom Yi Chun and Jiang Yao had kept hidden. Just a seventh tribulation true god, and you dare to boast so shamelessly. Are you just relying on the backing of the 5 Earth Divine Venerables? Without the Earth Divine Venerables, my brother Yi Chun and sister Jiang Yao could easily kill you. Shuanger, upon seeing Yi Chun threatened by the 5 Divine Venerables, couldn't help but rush out after hearing the true god youth Liner say he was going to make a move to kill and soul search, and she angrily lashed out at the youth. Although Xiaojiu didn't curse, she also flew down next to Yi Chun, her eyes fixed on the 5 great divine venerables and the true god youth above, poised for any sudden movements. When Shuanger mentioned the Earth Divine Venerables, Yi Chen's heart stirred. He sensed that these 5 divine venerables, though of the divine venerable realm, appeared much weaker than the divine venerable Hongzhu he had seen before, and the 9 female divine venerables accompanying Mrs. He. They were obviously at a relatively low level within the divine venerable realm. Now that Shuanger had mentioned the Earth Divine Venerables, Yi Chun guessed that this might be a division within the divine venerable realm. Yi Chun quickly communicated with Xiaojiu to inquire about the Earth Divine Venerables, hoping to analyze a strategy from these 5 individuals' power levels. The God King realm is divided into lower, middle, and upper God Kings. But within the divine venerable realm, there are 3 major tiers and 9 minor tiers, Xiaojiu explained. The 3 major tiers are Earth Divine Venerable, Heavenly Divine Venerable, and Immortal Divine Venerable. The 9 minor tiers refer to each of the major tiers having its own lower, middle, and upper divisions, totaling 9 levels of divine venerables. Among these 5 divine venerables, 4 are merely lower-level Earth Divine Venerables, while 1 is a middle-level Earth Divine Venerable. Like the 9 female divine venerables accompanying Mrs. He, all of them are upper-level Immortal Divine Venerables. An Immortal Divine Venerable is incredibly close to the Sovereign Realm, even more formidable than the Heavenly Divine Venerable, while the Heavenly Divine Venerable is countless times more powerful than the Earth Divine Venerable. Enjoy new tales from Novelbin.com. Any one of those 9 female divine venerables could instantly annihilate these 5 individuals. Xiaojiu swiftly explained the hierarchy of the divine venerable realm to Yi Chun. After hearing Xiaojiu's words, Yi Chun couldn't help but smile bitterly. Even if these 5 divine venerables were the weakest, being lower and middle-level Earth divine venerables, they were still entities surpassing upper-level God Kings, more formidable than even the frozen God King. He too was helpless against these divine venerables. While Xiaojiu and Yi Chun were conversing, in the void above, the 5 divine venerables heard Shuanger's words, and their divine eyes turned to her. After seeing the strange energy fluctuations on Shuanger's body, the 5 seemed to have thought of something, and then turned to look at Xiaojiu beside Yi Chun. Finally, the 5 great divine venerables glanced at each other, and the oldest, a middle-level Earth divine venerable, called out with some excitement, "Soul beasts! Could these be the rumored exceedingly clever soul beasts? I didn't expect to encounter 2 soul beasts on the way to seize the assessment quota for the 9 great divine institutes. Let's see from which soul beast group these articulate creatures hail." Boom! This middle-level Earth divine venerable reached out with a gesture, and Shuanger was sent flying backward. Shuanger had only emerged from the original stones of the Undersea Divine Palace shortly before the Great Cleansing Catastrophe. Although she was extremely intelligent due to her species and knew countless pieces of knowledge, her actual combat power was only equivalent to that of the true god level. Under the grasp of divine venerable level power, she couldn't resist at all. In mid-flight, Shuanger also cried out, "Sister Jiang Yao!" Yi Chun, Jiang Yao, and Xiaojiu hadn't expected the divine venerables above would target Shuanger first. Of course, they wouldn't let Shuanger be captured by the divine venerable like this. Boom! Instantly, Yi Chen's combat power was shockingly activated, and Xiaojiu's soul force also erupted tumultuously. As the two took flight, Jiang Yao also headed straight for Shuang'er. Seeing Yi Chen intercepting Shuang'er's capture, the ancient emperor of the Yan clan also clenched his teeth. His lower-level god king aura swirled, skyrocketing as he followed Yi Chen and the others towards Shuang'er in the sky. As for Bing Yi, Bing Wu, Bing Qi, and others, there was no need to mention them. The moment Yi Chen moved, they flew directly to Yi Chen's side. In a moment, many figures took to the air, all launching a desperate rescue attempt for Shuang'er. Seeing these people's actions, another divine venerable in the sky scoffed with disdain. Are these merely warriors from a lower realm, lacking in vision, thinking they can block a chariot with their arms? Boom! He swung his hand gently, and an incredibly terrifying killing force directly aimed at everyone below. If spread, this killing force could probably annihilate the hundreds of thousands of warriors on the scene. As it was, this killing force was even swifter than the power capturing Shuang'er, striking toward Yi Chen, Jiang Yao, and the others. How could they possibly stop it? Just as the killing force approached, colder than even the power used to capture Shuang'er, a chill swept through many hearts. Then, everyone saw a bluish light radiating from Jiang Yao, enveloping all the people present and directly confronting the killing force descending from the sky. Boom! In an instant, the earth-shattering explosion echoed across the entire firmament. The Divine Venerable's killer move in that void was completely blocked. It was the crystalline mysterious heavenly divine artifact pendant that Jiang Yao had obtained from the creation treasure trove of the undersea divine palace that played a significant role. Seeing his move blocked, and the power from the captured Shuang'er also inexplicably severed, both the lower Earth Divine Venerable who had made the move and the older Middle Earth Divine Venerable were taken aback. In an instant, they saw the miraculous pendant on Jiang Yao's body emitting divine light. A high-grade, mysterious, heavenly divine artifact. When they sensed the light from the pendant, both Divine Venerables, along with the three others beside them, exclaimed in surprise. The oldest Middle Earth Divine Venerable's eyes lit up completely. I didn't expect that you obtained so many treasures from the Undersea Divine Palace. A high-grade, mysterious, heavenly divine artifact, in your hands, is like a pearl covered in dust. Only when used by someone of the Divine Venerable realm can it truly shine. Boom! As he spoke, the Middle Earth Divine Venerable's divine power swept out in an instant, reaching out for the pendant on Jiang Yao's body. This Middle Earth Divine Venerable, as if familiar with such autonomously defended mysterious heavenly divine artifacts, actually bypassed the pendant's defense and snatched it directly from Jiang Yao's body, sending it flying. The entire pendant flew straight towards the Divine Venerable and finally landed in his hand. Seeing Jiang Yao's hard-earned treasure taken by the Divine Venerable, Yi Chen was on the verge of going mad. However, his current realm was only at the late stage of Celestial Saint, far too distant from even the lowest level of the Divine Venerables, the Earth Divine Venerables unable to resist at all. Yi Chen once again experienced the insufficiency of his power. His power, even if fighting to the death, might not be enough to resolve these Divine Venerables. Even if it won't resolve them, I must still fight. From the greediness of these 5 Divine Venerables, Yi Chen knew that these people would definitely not spare them after taking the treasures. Yi Chen, with his teeth tightly clenched, finally took a deep breath and his eyes became incredibly resolute. Fight. Even if to die, he would die fighting, not sit here waiting for death. As Yi Chen's eyes firmed, Jiang Yao also seemed to sense the arrival of a life-and-death moment. The taboo secret method that Mrs. He had imparted to her, and which she had never used before, started to flicker wildly. Just as Jiang Yao utilized the taboo secret method, far from her across the endless star continent, outside of a peculiar ice cave, Mrs. He and 9 female divine venerables all changed their expressions. Yower! Instantly, Mrs. He and the 9 female divine venerables disappeared from their long investigation of the peculiar ice cave, minor spirit realm upon the great earth. Not only Yi Chen and Jiang Yao were preparing for their final desperate fight, but Bing Yi, ancient emperor of the Yan clan, Thousand Extremes True God, True Phoenix, Mulan True God. One after another, the warriors all revealed a decisive look in their eyes. In the end, the remaining hundreds of thousands of warriors also sensed the coming of a deadly calamity from the 5 divine venerables above, knowing their only outcome was death if they did not fight, and they all started trembling as they took up arms. Boom! 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 Hundreds of thousands of auras, regardless of strength, surged towards the heavens, directly facing the 5 great divine venerables in the sky and that true god youth. Seeing the action below, the true god youth sneered disdainfully, ignorant of death, and the 5 divine venerables all laughed loudly. We originally planned to take the treasures first, then settle with all of you afterwards, to avoid any leaks. It seems we need to take you down first, then collect the treasures. So be it. It's not the first time we've destroyed star continents. We'll just add your Sky Spirit Star continent to the list. Boom! 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 As the 5 great divine venerables spoke, they all moved directly in the air. Instantly, 5 forces powerful enough to devastate the entire minor spirit realm burst forth. By now, the mysterious heavenly divine artifact on Jiangyao had been taken, leaving no strength to withstand the attacks from these 5 great divine venerable level forces. As the 5 devastating forces struck directly towards the tens of thousands of ascending auras and towards everyone on the ground, including Yichun, Jiangyao, Bingyi, True Phoenix, and Mulan True God, and wrapped themselves around Xiaojiu and Shuanger, the next moment, the land would probably shatter, and blood would flood like a sea. But at that moment, a voice as if coming from the boundless starry domain said, "Who dares to touch my brother Yichun?" Then, the hundreds of thousands of warriors on the ground already prepared for a do-or-die battle, the 5 great earth divine venerables in the sky, and the true god youth, all saw an unbelievable rainbow, seemingly from the depths of the starry sky, arriving in the void of the minor spirit realm in an instant. Thump, 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 before even making contact. This incredible rainbow caused the 5 forces unleashed by the divine venerables to collapse on their own, and it swept up the 5 divine venerables and the true god youth, hanging them in midair. Then, everyone saw the void of the minor spirit realm being torn open, revealing the endless starry domain, usually only visible during the serene nights. They also saw 3 figures, 2 big and 1 small, stepping directly from the depths of the boundless starry domain into the void of the minor spirit realm. Chapter 633-. The 3 Supreme Masters. This scene, with its divine mystery, completely shattered the understanding of all the martial artists from the minor spirit realm and the lower realm's 33 continents who were present at the scene. And the 5 divine venerables, who were now suspended upside down in the void by a rainbow arc, screamed in disbelief upon seeing 2 of the 3 newcomers. Upper Immortal Divine Venerable, Sovereign, you are Lord East Territory King. The 3 figures, 2 leading 1 smaller, were none other than the East Territory King, Divine Venerable Hongzhu, and the Little Provincial Princess. Though these 5 Earth Divine Venerables held rather low positions within the Divine Kingdom, they had still once glimpsed the kingdom's prominent figures from afar. They recognized the East Territory King at first glance, thinking back on the childish voice that had said, "Who dares to hurt my brother Yichun?" It was obviously the little provincial princess that the East Territory King was now holding by the hand. Yichun, the young man below who had acquired the ultimate treasure from the great cleansing catastrophe. He knows Lord East Territory King. The 5 divine venerables were on the verge of collapse, unable to imagine in any way how a martial artist from the heavenly saint realm of the lower realm could have acquaintance with the East Territory King, such a formidable figure in the divine kingdom. It's over. It's all over. The 5 divine venerables' hearts sank into a pit of ice. Not to mention the East Territory King, even the upper immortal divine venerable who was with him could snuff them out effortlessly. Seeing his 5 masters silent and pale as death, the true god youth Linner, still hanging upside down, had yet to recover from his shock. His 5 teachers at the Earth Divine Venerable Realm, all suppressed. What level of power was that rainbow arc that seemed to shoot from the depths of the starry sky in an instant? Linner could hardly believe that he and his powerful five masters could fall into a trap in this lower realm's star continent, which he had never regarded highly. The East Territory King, Divine Venerable Hongzhu, and the little provincial princess, of course, were unconcerned with the expressions of the five divine venerables and the true god youth. After they arrived in the void of the minor spirit realm, the East Territory King directly looked towards the shocked crowd of martial artists below, and his gaze found Yi Chun. Yi Chun, my young friend, we meet for the first time. Haven't I arrived too late? The East Territory King said with a smile to Yi Chun. As the East Territory King spoke, the little provincial princess Fong Luo beamed with laughter looking at Yi Chun and Zhang Yao beside him. Brother Yi Chun, I've come to see you. Just now it was my daddy who personally saved you. This is the sister Zhang Yao you've mentioned. Divine Venerable Hongzhu also smiled and nodded at Yi Chun. Yi Chun, it's been a while since Minor Pole Sky, but here we meet again. The East Territory King, the little provincial princess, and Divine Venerable Hongzhu each greeted Yi Chun in turn. Recalling how the three had miraculously appeared and subdued the five strong beings in the void, the hundreds of thousands of martial artists present knew that they had been saved. Yi Chun, this young man, new influential figures who had come to their rescue. This is a sovereign, thousand extremes true god. Watching the faintly smiling East Territory King in the void, felt a profound shock. His master was Elder Kudu, also a strong presence in the sovereign realm, so he was well aware of the significance of the aura radiating from the East Territory King. Thousand Extremes True God had never imagined that when he could not contact his master, who was in retreat, and Yi Chun and the martial artists were in dire straits, Yi Chun would actually be able to receive aid from a sovereign realm powerhouse. Not just Thousand Extremes True God was deeply moved. The ancient emperor of the Yen clan, Bing Yi, Bing Wu, Bing Qi, True Phoenix, Mulan True God, Palace Master Yuan Li, and countless martial artists continually shifted their gazes between Yi Chun and the divine figures of the East Territory King, the little provincial princess, and Divine Venerable Hongzhu in the void. Even Xiaojiu and Shuang'er were somewhat surprised to encounter a sovereign here. The day's events had indeed been too much for everyone to take in. First was the escape of the heavenly saint true God from the catastrophe of the Great Cleansing, followed by five beings who exceeded the divine king randomly showing up wanting to kill and seize treasures. And now, another mighty figure had arrived, one even more powerful than those five. The minor spirit realm had never been so bustling. In the center of all the attention, Yi Chun looked up at the East Territory King, little provincial princess, and Divine Venerable Hongzhu in the void, a bit surprised himself. Yi Chun hadn't expected that, in this moment of crisis, the little provincial princess would happen to arrive, and her father, the East Territory King from the Divine Kingdom, would personally come here too. Thank you, Lord East Territory King, for your timely help and for saving Yi Chun. Greetings to Divine Venerable Hongzhu. Yi Chun solemnly thanked the East Territory King and Divine Venerable Hongzhu with a clasped fist salute from the void. Then, Yi Chun's gaze turned towards the little provincial princess whom he was quite familiar with from their adventures in Minor Pole Sky, and he smiled. Little provincial princess, we meet again. Yes, this beside me is Zhang Yao. While talking, Yi Chun turned his head slightly and said to Zhang Yao beside him, this is the little provincial princess Fong Luo, Divine Venerable Hongzhu, and Lord East Territory King I've told you about. Zhang Yao had already activated the taboo secret method passed down by Mrs. He, ready to fight to the death, but she never expected that in their moment of certain doom, a figure like the East Territory King would appear and resolve the situation. Zhang Yao had also heard Yi Chun talk about the events in Minor Pole Sky, including the little provincial princess and Divine Venerable Hongzhu. Zhang Yao pays respect to Lord East Territory King, Divine Venerable Hongzhu. Zhang Yao likewise gave a clasped fist salute to the divine figures, and then with a smile, she looked at the beautiful young girl dressed in white. Little provincial princess, hello? The East Territory King, suspended in the void, saw Yi Chun and Zhang Yao bowing to him with cupped fists and smiled as he nodded. I did not expect that this heavenly spirit star would produce such a talented pair of geniuses. Yi Chun, I heard from Luo'er that when you left the Minor Pole Sky, you were still at the latter stage of the rotating pill realm. It's only been a little over a year, yet you've broken through to the late heavenly saint realm. Not bad, not bad at all. It seems that the Great Purge catastrophe, this major crisis, has also made you grow a lot. The ultimate treasure of the Great Purge catastrophe involves the assessment slots for the 9 great divine institutes in the divine kingdom. With such talent as yours, staying in Heavenly Spirit Star is indeed a waste of cultivation time. Only in the divine kingdom can you truly flourish. The East Territory King's words made Yi Chun nod deeply. For Jiang Yao, he had already planned to go to the divine kingdom. This sudden encounter with the threat from the 5 divine venerables made Yi Chun realize that his own strength still fell far too short. Although he was absolutely strong among his peers and could even fight across levels, his current strength was not enough to handle even a lower God King, let alone the realms of Earth Divine Venerable, Heavenly Divine Venerable, and Immortal Divine Venerable. As for beings like the East Territory King, Mrs. He, Elder Kudu of the Sovereign Realm, let alone an existence that surpassed the Sovereign Realm like Lord Emperor Yen, and the ZG Star Lord, all of this, he could only hope to surpass by going to the Divine Kingdom and possessing the Divine Kingdom's cultivation resources. It was time to go to the Divine Kingdom, Yi Chun thought to himself. While Yi Chun pondered, the little provincial princess glanced over the several 100,000 martial artists below, then looked at the 5 divine venerables and the true god youth Linner, who were suspended upside down by her father's great divine power, and said to the East Territory King, "Father, let's deal with these 6 first, and then we can have a good chat with Brother Yi Chun." The little provincial princess's words made the East Territory King chuckle lightly. The East Territory King looked at Yi Chun. "Young friend Yi Chun, how do you plan to deal with these 6? The East Territory King was leaving the decision of how to handle the situation with the 5 divine venerables and the true god youth, who came to kill and plunder for treasure, up to Yi Chun. Yi Chun cast his gaze directly at the 5 divine venerables and the true god youth, now upside down in the void, devoid of their previous arrogance, and looking utterly embarrassed. Yi Chun remembered how they had snatched the mysterious heavenly divine artifact jade pendant from Jiang Yao and attempted to kill all the several 100,000 martial artists present. Senior East Territory King, they took a jade pendant treasure from Jiang Yao, which needs to be retrieved first, Yi Chun said. As for them, since they seem so fond of coming to the lower realm, perhaps they could be imprisoned here for hundreds of years, so they can no longer harm others? For such murderers and plunderers, Yi Chun even had the impulse to kill them outright. However, lacking sufficient strength, Yi Chun was reluctant to ask the East Territory King to kill these people, especially since this was their first meeting. Imprisoning these people for hundreds of years, by which time Yi Chun was confident that his strength would surpass theirs. He could personally deal with this group. Hearing Yi Chun's solution, the East Territory King nodded and smiled. With a flick of his finger in midair, the storage spaces on the 5 divine venerables shattered instantly, and the crystal-clear jade pendant previously snatched from Jiang Yao flew out, drifting towards her. Jiang Yao caught the jade pendant, and seeing it intact, she carefully put it away. Then, with another flick of the East Territory King's finger, the auras of the 5 divine venerables along with the true god youth were completely sealed. The rainbow that bound the 6 dissolved gently, and they plummeted straight from the void. As they fell, a light prison appeared out of nowhere, completely confining the 5 divine venerables and true god youth in the void. Since young friend Yi Chun suggests to imprison you for hundreds of years, then you shall be kept in the minor spirit realm's void for 900 years. As the East Territory King exercised his power, another voice echoed through the heavens. 900 years, that's hardly enough. The people who wanted to kill my disciple should be stripped of their cultivation and imprisoned for 90,000 years, allowing their divine bodies to self-destruct. Boom! 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 At the upper part of the minor spirit realm's void, space was torn open once more, revealing an endless starry sky only visible during the quiet of night. Then, 10 figures flew from that infinite expanse. These 10 figures were Mrs. He and the 9 female divine venerables, who, sensing that Jiang Yao was in danger, had hurried back. Stay connected via novelbin.com. Mrs. He and the 9 female divine venerables were seething with killing intent. The taboo secret method previously activated by Zhang Yao was a protective measure they had specially left for Zhang Yao, seeing her weakness. It was a precaution against possible dangers to Zhang Yao. Mrs. He and the 9 female divine venerables had not expected Zhang Yao to encounter such danger so soon. When they saw through their senses that Zhang Yao was almost killed, and they were nearly too far to return in time, they were almost driven mad. The excellent disciple they had finally found, they did not want to be hurt so easily. Of course, they were not willing to let off the 6 who were to be imprisoned so easily. The murderous aura of Mrs. He and the 9 female divine venerables seemed to freeze the heavens of the minor spirit realm, and at that moment, from the undersea divine palace in the North Sea below, another figure flew out. This figure was none other than Elder Kudu. The commotion from Mrs. He had startled Elder Kudu from his seclusion, causing him to fly out directly from the undersea divine palace. For a moment, in the heavens above, 3 sovereigns directly confronted one another. Chapter 634 - Revisiting the Ice Cave. 3 sovereigns, meeting directly on a lower star continent. Such an event would be hard to witness even once in a million years. Upon seeing Mrs. He and the 9 female divine venerables, the East Territory King was already somewhat surprised. But upon seeing Elder Kudu, he was even more incredulous as he exclaimed, "Old Provincial King, you've disappeared for so many years and you were here?" Elder Kudu first looked at the murderous Mrs. He, smiled and said, "Sovereign He, long time no see." Although both had stayed at the undersea divine palace before, they had each been busy with their matters and hardly ever met. The last time they had encountered each other was countless ages ago. Then, Elder Kudu turned to look at the East Territory King and chuckled, "Fong Kue, my younger brother, haven't seen you for a long time. You still look eminent as always." Hearing Elder Kudu's address to the East Territory King, Yi Chun then learned his true name. Thinking further, since Elder Kudu was once the old southern provincial king in the Divine Kingdom, it wasn't surprising for him to be acquainted with the East Territory King. By this time, Mrs. He, one of the 3 great sovereigns, was fixating a concerned gaze upon Zhang Yao, relieved to see that Zhang Yao was safe and sound. Mrs. He looked at the East Territory King and expressed her solemn gratitude. "Esteemed fellow Taoist, thank you for saving my disciple." Seeing Mrs. He's affectionate gaze resting on Zhang Yao, the East Territory King was taken aback. Then he laughed heartily and said, "I did not expect that young Master Yi Chen's little female companion is actually your disciple, Elder Sovereign. Elder Sovereign, I am the East Territory King of the Divine Kingdom. May I inquire from which domain you hail?" The East Territory King had an understanding of the sovereigns of the Divine Kingdom, yet he had never seen Mrs. He before. Mrs. He replied, "I come from the 10,000 Beasts domain, but I am not someone from the Wan Mu Mountain Star domain." "The 10,000 Beasts domain?" The East Territory King exclaimed in surprise. "That star domain is quite some distance from the Wan Mu Mountain Star domain." Elder Kudu also smiled and said, "It's a long story why Sovereign He is in this place." The exchange between the 3 sovereign realm powerhouses utterly stunned all the martial artists below. The most shocked were the 5 divine venerables who were imprisoned by the East Territory King. They had never imagined they would encounter 3 sovereign realm powerhouses on a lower star continent. If they had known earlier, they wouldn't have dared to come here even if they were beaten to death. They were already scared stiff when they met the East Territory King because of Yi Chun, but after hearing Mrs. He's previous declaration of not letting them off, and learning Zhang Yao was her disciple, the 5 divine venerables felt like hitting their heads against the wall. They had actually offended a disciple of a sovereign realm powerhouse. And when they saw Elder Kudu speaking to the true god Qianji, also addressing the true god as his disciple, the 5 divine venerables were completely shaken. If they still had a chance to survive, they would never dare to come to this star continent again, even if it offered them opportunities to become a celestial divine venerable or even an immortal divine venerable. It was simply too bizarre. Of course, they also knew they had no such opportunity anymore. Not only were the 5 divine venerables astonished, but the several 100,000 warriors of the celestial spirit star were also shaken by the series of events and were a bit slow to react. They didn't even know the true realms of the three enormous figures conversing in the sky above them. They only knew that the five powerhouses, who were far above the God-King realm, were absolutely no match in front of these three figures. Let alone these three figures, even the several strong women standing beside these figures made them feel that each one had the absolute power to easily destroy the minor spirit realm. The only ones not stunned at the scene were Yi Chun, Zhang Yao, Xiaozhou, Shuanger, and a few others. At this moment, Yi Chun, driven by curiosity, asked Xiaozhou, "Xiaozhou, can you feel which of these three sovereigns is more powerful? Also, how is the sovereign realm divided? And the realm above sovereign realm, the realm where Lord Emperor Yen resides, what kind of realm is it?" Yi Chun had already learned the divisions of the God-King realm and the Divine Venerable realm. However, he was still unfamiliar with the sovereign realm. Now that he had encountered three sovereigns, it was natural for Yi Chun to be curious about whether there was a hierarchy in their strength. Hearing Yi Chun's words, Xiaozhou secretly conveyed to Yi Chun, "From the knowledge Lord Emperor Yen instilled in me, I understand that the sovereign realm is divided from a 1-star sovereign to a 9-star sovereign. It seems both Sovereign He and Sovereign Kugu are 9-star sovereigns. The East Territory King, I'm afraid, is also an 8-star sovereign. As to who is more powerful when true powerhouses clash, in addition to their realms, many other factors can influence the outcome, so it is unclear. However, it's likely that Sovereign He and Sovereign Kugu are a bit more formidable. As for the realm above the sovereign realm, Lord Emperor Yen has sealed off that knowledge from me. I'm currently unable to access it. Perhaps when my strength grows further, I might be able to know." Upon hearing Xiaozhou's admission of not knowing the realm where Lord Emperor Yen resides, Yi Chun sighed. When he had earlier inquired Xiaozhou about the mysterious ice cavern and whether Xiaozhou had heard of the Purple Extreme Star Lord, Xiaozhou had no idea. It seemed that some mysteries surpassing the sovereign realm were still beyond the reach of both him and Xiaozhou. However, knowing the division within the sovereign realm and realizing that the East Territory King was an 8-star sovereign while Mrs. He and Elder Kudu were both 9-star sovereigns was an unexpected and pleasant surprise. Yi Chun had heard from Zhang Yao that for many years, Mrs. He and the 9 female divine venerables, because they were dealing with the great cleansing calamity for Lord Emperor Yen as repayment for his life-saving grace from before, had their cultivation and lifespans sealed. Mrs. He is a 9-star sovereign and, with her guidance, Zhang Yao will surely make great progress in her cultivation. And the 9 female divine venerables are also upper-rank immortal divine venerables. During these years, their cultivation progress was sealed, preventing a breakthrough. I fear that once they return to the 10,000 beasts domain, breaking through to the sovereign realm is not an impossibility. In such case, the help for Zhang Yao would be even greater. Yaoer, with Mrs. He and the 9 female divine venerables nurturing you, I fear your training may be even stronger than that of the teachings from the 9 divine institutions. I must work hard, for only by joining the 9 divine institutions can I progress together with you. Yi Chun held Zhang Yao's hand and looked at her. With this look, however, Yi Chun saw that something was off about Zhang Yao's expression. In an instant, Yi Chun thought of the reason. It must be because Zhang Yao hadn't seen Mrs. He return with her parents, grandparents, and members of the Divine Phoenix clan, and she was worried. Yi Chun also found it somewhat strange. That Black Crow God King was merely in the God King realm. With Mrs. He's divine might as a sovereign, finding someone like that should be extremely easy. How could it be that, after several months, she still hadn't found him? And she hadn't brought back any of the Divine Phoenix clan's members upon her return. Could there have been some accident? Yi Chun held Zhang Yao's hand even tighter and gave her a reassuring look. In the void, among the conversations of 3 sovereigns, Mrs. He also noticed the change in Zhang Yao's expression. She paused her conversation with the East Territory King and Elder Kudu and looked toward Zhang Yao. Mrs. He slowly said, "Yaoer, there seems to have been some incident with your parents." Half an hour later, this region of the minor spirit realm, which had gathered hundreds of thousands of martial artists, had cleared out. Only a void prison was left, detaining those 5 divine venerables and the true divine youth Liner. At this moment, the cultivation of these 5 divine venerables and the true divine youth Liner had been utterly crippled. Even with their divine bodies, it's doubtful they could survive the long erosion of time. In the end, Mrs. He even reinforced the light prison laid out by the East Territory King with another powerful seal, truly intending to seal these individuals for 90,000 years. 90,000 years. If these individuals' cultivation hadn't been crippled, they might have withstood it. But now, with their cultivation wiped out, even if their bodies had already transformed into divine bodies, it's doubtful they could survive to the end of this period and would utterly perish within the light prison. And the 6 people within the light prison knew all too well that they likely wouldn't survive for 90,000 years. Because before the masses dispersed, they couldn't forget the indifferent look that the youth named Yi-chan had given them. That look clearly indicated that imprisoning them in the void was just a warning to the many invaders of Celestial Spirit Star, and Yi-chan had not forgotten the grudge they almost killed him over. Inside the light prison, the 5 Earth Divine Venerables were filled with regret. And the true divine youth Liner no longer had any semblance of arrogance, now wailing inside the prison. At this time, Bing-yi, Bing-wu, Bing-chi and their group, along with the 9 great celestial ice guardians and true divinities like Mulan, had already left the minor spirit realm and returned to the savage continent to reassure Yi-chen's family, who were still anxiously concerned about Yi-chan and Jiang Yao on the savage continent. The ancient Flame Emperor, the North Ming tribal chief, the Blood God tribal chief, and others also took their clansmen back to their respective tribes. The martial artists from the 33 continents of the Lower Star Continent also returned to their territories. Discover stories at novelbin.com. However, Yi-chan and Jiang Yao had not yet returned to the savage continent. They followed Mrs. He and the 9 female divine venerables, accompanied by Elder Kudu and the Red Spider Divine Venerable, the little provincial princess, to another part of the Star Continent. This Star Continent is exactly the one Mrs. He had investigated for a long time before hurrying back to save Jiang Yao. This Star Continent was also the one involved in the great calamity of the Undersea Divine Palace, when a force had swept through attempting to abduct the members of the Divine Phoenix clan for the catastrophe, and a mysterious force from the ice cave had blocked it. Currently, the 3 sovereigns, the Red Spider Divine Venerable, the 9 female venerables of the Feathered Spirit clan, Yi-chan, Jiang Yao, and the little provincial princess, all stood before a strange ice cave. This ice cave was the very one that the Black Crow God King, who had taken the Divine Phoenix clan people away, had entered without intent. I investigated that Black Crow God King's trail to help find Yao's clan, and it turns out, over a year ago, that Black Crow God King had been here. In the end, he disappeared inside this ice cave, and I couldn't sense his traces anymore. And with this ice cave, even at my 9-star sovereign level, I can't enter. Dear friends, have you ever seen an ice cave like this? Do you know what it is? Mrs. He looked at the ice cave radiating a strange and unparalleled stellar glow in front of her and asked the East Territory King and Elder Kudu. Chapter 635, Supreme Secret. Upon hearing Mrs. He's inquiry and seeing the mysterious ice cave, the East Territory King and Elder Kudu exchanged glances, their eyes brimming with a surge of alarm. Such an ice cave! East Territory King and Elder Kudu simultaneously exclaimed in shock. From their expressions, it was apparent that they had either seen or heard about some matters concerning this kind of ice cave. The expressions of the East Territory King and Elder Kudu caused Mrs. He's eyes to flicker, while Yi-chan, at this moment, felt tumultuous waves churning in his heart. Yi-chan hadn't expected to see another mysterious ice cave. This was the 3rd mysterious ice cave he had encountered. The first mysterious ice cave was the one where Yi-chan had obtained the primordial star scripture and the star's tower. To this day, Yi-chan still couldn't understand why such an ice cave existed beneath the South Pole ice field, or why there was a scene of 10,000 beasts worshipping. The second mysterious ice cave was the one Yi-chan discovered underneath the Ice Palace snowfield in the extreme north of the barbarian wilderness continent, while searching for Heavenly Saint Dekong on behalf of the little monkey. Heavenly Saint Dekong had vanished beneath that ice cave. Now, Yi-chan hadn't expected to encounter such an ice cave again while searching for Black Crow God King, who had taken away the people of the Divine Phoenix clan. That Black Crow God King had also disappeared within such a mysterious ice cave, just like Heavenly Saint Dekong. Where had the people of the Divine Phoenix clan gone? Where are they now? What exactly was this mysterious ice cave? Yichun had not found any information about this mysterious ice cave from Xiaojiu, and had long considered it a secret he must unravel once he became powerful. Now, seeing the expressions of the East Territory King and Elder Kudu, Yichun's heart skipped a beat. Could it be that these two sovereign realm powerhouses knew the secret of the ice cave? Under the gaze of Mrs. He, Yichun, and everyone present, even the little provincial princess and divine venerable Hong Zhu curiously looked at the East Territory King and Elder Kudu, whose shocked expressions finally prompted them to speak. Elder Kudu spoke first. The true secret of this ice cave is unknown to us, and even the ruler of our Wanmu Mountain divine nation is unaware. However, in recent years, dozens of such ice caves have been found in the divine nation, and we, being in the sovereign realm, are unable to enter them. There were, however, 2 accidents wherein the crown prince and the 4th prince of our nation's ruler each entered one of these ice caves. As a result, the crown prince discovered a divine body cultivation secret technique within the ice cave he entered, which allowed his divine body's combat power to advance rapidly to the level of a heavenly divine venerable in just a few decades. The 4th prince, on the other hand, acquired 3 ultimate heavenly artifacts from another ice cave. These are only crafted by those surpassing the sovereign realm and can only be used by powerful sovereign realm warriors, the ultimate heavenly artifacts. After the crown prince and the 4th prince emerged from the ice caves, our ruler wanted to enter those 2 caves again, but like the other discovered caves, they were unable to re-enter. Sovereign realm powerhouses in our divine nation who know the secret of these ice caves speculate that these caves might be an opportunity left by existences that have transcended the sovereign realm. Stay updated via novelbin.com. This opportunity seems to vary in scale. For example, the opportunity the crown prince obtained seemed much smaller than the 4th prince's. However, it's probable that the 3 ultimate heavenly artifacts obtained by the 4th prince are not the greatest opportunity within the ice cave, and that there might be something even more powerful than the ultimate heavenly artifacts inside. It's a pity that such ice caves. We have searched countless lands across the star continent, but haven't found a single one, they said. It seems that only those who are truly fortunate can stumble upon them and gain this opportunity. Ultimately, those of us from the divine kingdom who are in the sovereign realm have come to refer to these enigmatic ice caves we fail to understand as the supreme secret. Perhaps one day, when we surpass the sovereign realm and advance to even higher levels, will we understand what these mysterious ice caves truly represent. After Elder Kudu finished speaking, the East Territory King also nodded. In these years, while the Old Territory King has been in secluded cultivation, our divine kingdom has discovered several ice caves that others have entered, all emanating peculiar stellar light. We have also encountered a familiar person who entered an ice cave. The Northern Territory King once stepped into such a cave. After emerging from the ice cave, even our national leader said he wouldn't dare be an enemy of the Northern Territory King. Later, when the Northern Territory King passed her position to her sister, she disappeared from the mountain divine nation of Wanmu Mountain. The Northern Territory King didn't disclose specific details about the ice cave, but all of us sovereigns know that it must involve an incredibly significant event. Hearing the East Territory King's words, Elder Kudu was also shocked. The Northern Territory King, that girl Xian, she also entered such an ice cave? Now her sister is in charge of the mountain divine nation of the northern region? She left. The East Territory King nodded. The discussions about the ice caves by the 2 sovereigns left Mrs. He and others deeply stunned. They had not expected that the mountain divine nation would discover not just one ice cave, but indeed so many, and this secret had yet to be fully unearthed. At this moment, Jiang Yao's eyes were filled with immense worry. She had originally thought that Mrs. He could help her find her father, mother, grandfather, and the people of the divine Phoenix clan. But unexpectedly, the Black Crow God King had disappeared inside this ice cave, and even those in the sovereign realm can't fully understand the secrets of the ice cave. Meanwhile, Yichun was also deeply shaken at this point. He had not told anyone about obtaining the primordial star scripture and the star's tower from the mysterious ice cave. because this matter was too important, so significant that if others knew, it could invite immense trouble. Yi Chun had not even told Jiang Yao, fearing that she would become involved. Now, hearing that some had already entered the ice caves and obtained treasures of varying worth, from Elder Kudu and the East Territory King, Yi Chun knew this more clearly than anyone else. What treasures the missing Northern Territory King had obtained, Yi Chun didn't know. However, he did know that what the great prince of the divine kingdom had gained for cultivation to the heavenly divine venerables divine body, and the 3 ultimate heavenly artifacts that the 4th prince had obtained, in terms of value could not compare to the primordial star scripture. Yi Chun had a premonition that those who had left these ice caves were likely as the great power holders of the divine kingdom had speculated, existences that surpassed the sovereign realm. Just like ZG Star Lord, who left the primordial star scripture and the stars tower to him, Yi Chun knew that he must be an existence beyond the sovereign realm. Why would these existences, who have surpassed the sovereign realm, leave behind cave after cave, entrust so many treasures? Where does ZG Star Lord stand among these existences that have surpassed the sovereign realm? Among the treasures of these ice caves, how valuable is the primordial star scripture he left behind? Yi Chun's mind was filled with countless questions. Chapter 636 – Farewell. As Yi Chun was pondering in his heart, Mrs. He, who was by his side, seemed to remember something and suddenly said, "This supreme secret of yours is somewhat similar to something we have in the 10,000 Beasts domain. However, instead of having these mysterious ice caves, the 10,000 Beasts domain has Zishuan-colored treasure palaces that appear. These Zishuan treasure palaces are places that not even the sovereign realm powerhouses of the 10,000 Beasts domain can enter. However, those with destiny can enter and also obtain some extremely precious items from within. We, the sovereign realm powerhouses of the 10,000 Beasts domain, call these insoluble Zishuan treasure palaces the Zishuan mystery." Having said this, Mrs. He sighed deeply. "Back then, I once asked Lord Emperor Yen about the Zishuan mystery. Lord Emperor Yen told me that encountering such things is a martial artist's destiny. If you can't encounter them, then it's impossible to force it. As for the secret behind this destiny, Lord Emperor Yen didn't say. He only mentioned that knowing about these things is useless until you break through the sovereign realm to a higher realm. I'm afraid that our 10,000 Beasts domain's Zishuan treasure palaces and the mysterious ice caves of the Wanmu Mountain domain share the same secret, and even other domains may have this secret as well. To unravel these secrets, one must break through to a higher realm. The more powerful you become, the more secrets you will know." Mrs. He's words made the remaining 2 sovereigns nod in agreement. Zishuan treasure palace? Zishuan mystery? Yi Chun pondered. Since the secret manifestations of the 10,000 Beasts domain are different from those of the Wanmu Mountain domain, could it be that the ones who left these secrets have different origins? Doesn't that mean that the ZG Star Lord might actually be from the Wanmu Mountain domain? Doesn't that mean that the earth where I originally came from might actually be within the divine kingdom of Wanmu Mountain? But Yi Chun also had his doubts. When he inquired Xiaojiu about the earth, Xiaojiu said she had never heard of such a planet in the divine kingdom, and Yi Chun didn't know the stellar position of Earth's continent. Thus he had no way to investigate. As for the ZG Star Lord, Xiaojiu knew even less. These matters were not something Yi Chun could conveniently ask the East Territory King and Elder Kudu about, and Yi Chun guessed that likely they did not know about these things either. It seems that I can only wait until later when my realm is high enough. Then I can investigate these matters, Yi Chun thought to himself. Thinking this, Yi Chun looked toward Jiang Yao and gently transmitted his voice. "Yaoer, don't worry. The fact that the Black Crow God King disappeared in this ice cave means he probably encountered some destiny. It's improbable that he would let the members of the Divine Phoenix clan face danger. When we are powerful enough, we will definitely be able to unravel the secrets of this ice cave and find that Black Crow God King." Yi Chun's words gradually stabilized the chaos in Jiang Yao's heart. Jiang Yao knew that worrying now was useless. If Mrs. He, the East Territory King, and Elder Kudu could not solve it and were in the dark, then what could she do to investigate? The heartbreaking part for Zhang Yao was that she was too weak. Weak to the point where she couldn't even find her own tribe's people. She couldn't even understand their whereabouts. Yi Chun, am I useless? Zhang Yao transmitted her voice to Yi Chun, filled with despondency. The tribespeople from the 33 continents were saved by you. The grievances with the Flying Spirit clan and Vermilion Bird clan were avenged by you. I can't do anything. I can't even find my parents. Yi Chun stroked Zhang Yao's head lightly. Yaoer, why should you and I distinguish between each other? How can you be useless when Mrs. He herself eagerly wanted to take you as a disciple? Now, don't blame yourself. When we are strong enough, every problem can be easily solved, just like how we resolved the issues with the Flying Spirit clan and Vermilion Bird clan. Yi Chen's words felt like a warm current, flowing through Zhang Yao's heart. Zhang Yao could feel the confidence in Yi Chen's words. She needed that confidence, too. Yi Chun, I will work hard to cultivate alongside grandmother and the others, striving to grow, Zhang Yao earnestly said. For you, for my parents, my grandfather, and my tribespeople, I will one day become a powerhouse that surpasses the sovereign realm. Amid the voice transmission between Yi Chun and Zhang Yao, Mrs. He also looked over to Zhang Yao. Yaoer, regarding the tribespeople of the Divine Phoenix clan who were taken away by the Black Crow God King, I will arrange for people to continue searching in the Wanmu Mountain domain. As soon as the Black Crow God King appears, we will definitely save your tribespeople. Mrs. He was still speaking when the East Territory King added, I will also have the martial artists of the Divine Kingdom keep an eye out for that Black Crow God King. Zhang Yao looked to Mrs. He and the East Territory King, her face serious as she spoke. Thank you, grandmother. Thank you, Senior East Territory King. All right, let's go. Mrs. He spoke up to the others. She glanced at Elder Kudu. Sovereign Cougar, are you continuing to return to the Undersea Divine Palace? Elder Kudu nodded. I've said I won't leave the mountains unless I make a breakthrough, and coming out this time was already an exception. I must return to the Undersea Divine Palace to continue cultivating. Mrs. He also nodded. Once Yaoer has settled the matters of the barbaric wilderness continent, I will take her to the 10,000 Beasts domain. As for Yi Chun, friend East Territory King, since Yi Chun will go to the Divine Kingdom to participate in the examination of the 9 Great Divine Institutes, I'm entrusting him to your care. Old Sovereign, you take it too seriously. Yi Chun and Luor met in Minor Spirit Realm, and he will be well taken care of in the Divine Kingdom without you having to mention it. The East Territory King smiled, glancing at Yi Chun and then at the nearby young princess. As it happens, I was also planning to have Luor participate in the 9 Great Divine Institutes examination. She should be able to take the examination with friend Yi Chun. The young princess looked at Zhang Yao, then at Yi Chun, and softly said, Brother Yi Chun, are you going to be separated from Sister Zhang Yao? After a tea hour, Yi Chun and his party left the somewhat desolate icy caverns of the stellar continent. Another half an hour later, they were back in the boundary of the celestial spirit star. Minor Spirit Realm, barbaric wilderness continent. Thanks to the safe return of Yi Chun and Zhang Yao, the 3 major families of Qingyang Town buzzed with excitement. Yi Chen's parents and the little girl tower, although not martial artists, had been left with precious pills from the Icebound Temple that Yi Chun had acquired before he was taken to the Undersea Divine Palace by the Great Purge Calamity. With these pills, even if they were not martial artists, it was no problem for them to live for thousands of years and break through the lifespan of ordinary people. At this time, they were even more spirited, welcoming the martial artists from the Minor Spirit Realm and even from the 33 continents who came to pay respects to Yi Chun, as well as figures such as the East Territory King. After meeting Yi Chen's parents, the East Territory King personally took action to directly open the Qi Sea for Yi Chen's parents and tower, an accomplishment nearly impossible for ordinary people, allowing them to begin cultivation. This was in order to remove Yi Chen's worries about familial ties when he left for the Divine Kingdom, to completely relieve Yi Chun of any concerns for his family's safety. Once capable of cultivation, paired with the countless precious pills left by Yi Chun and the family, and the 9 great Heavenly Saints icebound guards such as Ice 11, Ice 12, and Ice 19 he planned to leave in the family. Continue reading at Novel Bin. Calm. By the time Yi Chun would return to his family, his parents would definitely be safe. Not only would they be safe, but given Yi Chen's current abilities and his interactions with the major powers of the 33 continents, probably no one on the celestial spirit star would dare to provoke Yi Chen's family members. After all, these days even the ancient emperors of the Yen clan and clan leaders from the Divine Phoenix clan and Blood God clan, who had broken through to the God King realm in the minor spirit realm, personally descended to pay respects to Yi Chen. Yi Chen also considered bringing his parents with him to the Divine Kingdom. However, he was going to participate in the assessment of the 9 Great Divine Institutes, and he hadn't even passed the assessment yet. His realm was not yet established in the Divine Kingdom, and he couldn't guarantee their safety, nor could he completely rely on the East Territory King, so he wasn't in a hurry to bring his parents to the Divine Kingdom. One day, when he had become powerful enough, Yi Chen indeed planned to bring his family to the Divine Kingdom. In the following days, Yi Chen and Zhang Yao began to deal with various matters. The waters of the North Sea of the Minor Spirit Realm were rain-fused into the entire Divine Sea, and Elder Ku Du even entered the North Sea to cultivate, as if the great calamity had never happened. But the structure of the Minor Spirit Realm had completely changed. The Flying Spirit Clan and the Vermilion Bird Clan, both ancient clans that had lost many heavenly saints and true gods to Yi Chen's hands, had utterly declined and could no longer be counted among the 6 ancient clans. The truly powerful forces left in the Minor Spirit Realm were only the North Sea Clan, the Blood God Clan, and the Yen Clan, and Yi Chen had saved the lives of members from these 3 clans. Under these circumstances, the members of the Divine Phoenix Clan who had fled to the 33 continents during the original crisis returned to the Minor Spirit Realm once more, and under the leadership of true gods such as True Phoenix Shepherd Lon, they resettled in their original territory, reclaiming Divine Phoenix City. With the assistance of the North Sea Clan, the Blood God Clan, and the Yen Clan, the Divine Phoenix Clan might have fewer members now, but regaining their strength was only a matter of time. Meanwhile, in the barbaric wilderness continent, the Thousand Extremes true god who had returned to the barbaric wilderness continent finally met with the heavenly Saint Lien Yu once again in the Thousand Lotus Cave abode. By that time, owing to Yi Chen's healing, the heavenly Saint Lien Yu had awoken from her long slumber during the year of great cleansing calamity. When the two of them met again, accompanied by Yi Chen and Zhang Yao, the scene deeply affected both Yi Chen and Zhang Yao. And then there was Fairy Jia Luo, the martial artist who had raised Zhang Yao and taught her how to care for Yi Chen. Though at this point, the young geniuses Yi Chen and Zhang Yao had surpassed Fairy Jia Luo in strength, they still held immense respect for her. Zhang Yao even insisted on introducing Fairy Jia Luo to Mrs. He and the 9 goddesses. In the end, the 9 goddesses exceptionally agreed to take Fairy Jia Luo, who was only at the later stages of the rotating pill realm, to the 10,000 Beasts domain. There were also Palace Master Yuan Li, Mu Yao Palace Master, Mu Qingqing, and others. Having broken through to the True God realm, Palace Master Yuan Li planned to cultivate in the Minor Spirit realm, and ultimately, she went to Divine Phoenix City of the Divine Phoenix Clan. Mu Yao Palace Master then succeeded the role of the Great Master of the Heavenly Saint Palace. Mu Qingqing felt reluctant when she heard that Yi Chen was leaving. The young girl assured Yi Chen with utmost determination, promising that one day, she too would go to the Divine Kingdom and join the 9 Great Divine Institutes just like him. Finally, after Yi Chen and Zhang Yao had arranged for many people and things hand in hand, they traversed the 33 continents of the lower realm once more, and once again through the Minor Spirit realm. They even embraced and kissed at dusk in Divine Phoenix City. On the 10th day after their return from the Undersea Divine Palace to the barbaric wilderness continent, when all matters had been settled, the moment of parting finally arrived. Zhang Yao, along with Mrs. He and the 9 goddesses, took Fairy Jia Luo and eventually left for the 10,000 Beasts domain. After seeing Zhang Yao off, who left step by step and kept looking back, Yi Chen set out on his journey to the Divine Kingdom with the East Territory King's daughter Red Spider, Divine Sovereign. However, Yi Chen didn't plan to follow the East Territory King's daughter to the Eastern District of the Divine Kingdom. Instead, he asked the East Territory King to send him to the Southern District, because he had promised the Icebound Divine King to check up on his family members and see how they had been over these many years. Chapter 637- Divine Kingdom of Wanmu Mountain. On this journey to the Divine Kingdom, Yi-chan brought along only Xiaojiu, Little Monkey, and the three true god guards, Bing Yi, Bing Wu, and Bing Qi. There's no need to mention Xiaojiu, the exceptionally intelligent soul beast that knew a great deal about the divine kingdom and was specifically instructed by the old man to accompany Yi-chan on his journey there. As for Little Monkey, since Heavenly Saint Dekong could not be found, Yi-chan decided to take the little guy with him to venture in the divine kingdom. In recent times, he had been so occupied with cultivation and dealing with crisis that he hadn't taken good care of Little Monkey. Now that he was headed to the divine kingdom, Yi-chan intended to give Little Monkey a chance to grow as well. The true god guards, Bing Yi, Bing Wu, and Bing Qi, left by the divine king, were essential for Yi-chan to complete many of the divine king's entrusted tasks, and thus had to be brought along. With so many companions by his side, although Yi-chan was heading to the unfamiliar divine kingdom, he did not feel alone. At this moment, Yi-chan was inside the ultimate heavenly artifact flying boat, provided by the East Territory King, gazing at the boundless starry sky outside. This was Yi-chan's first time going to the divine kingdom. Last time, although he visited Minor Polsky, he was transported there directly from the three great exploration sites, and he never saw the journey to the divine kingdom. On the other hand, Minor Polsky did not count as a true divine kingdom but was a special secret realm under its jurisdiction. But now, Yi-chan was truly flying towards the divine kingdom. As the ultimate heavenly artifact flying boat sailed, Yi-chan could see it occasionally pass by continents amid the stars, threading through mysterious mists in the starry void. Xiaojiu, at Yi-chan's side, also curiously examined the starry sky. The star continents we can see are all from the lower star continent. It's said that the true path to the divine kingdom can only be seen by those who have evolved to the God-King realm. We can only wait until this ultimate flying boat completely traverses into the higher plane of the divine kingdom before we can actually witness the sights of the divine kingdom, Xiaojiu explained. While Xiaojiu had been imbued with much knowledge by Lord Emperor Yen, this was also her first time going to the divine kingdom since she had emerged from the raw stone, and she felt both excited and fascinated by the novelty. At that moment, Little Monkey held in Yi-chan's arms was also curiously surveying the beautiful starry vistas outside. Bing Yi then said with a smile to Yi-chan, "Master, we have never ridden an ultimate heavenly artifact flying boat before. A sovereign-class flying boat really is unimaginably fast." Yes, Bing Wu and Bing Qi at the side also chimed in. "At this speed, it probably won't be long before we reach the divine kingdom's territory in the higher plane." Yi-chan too nodded in agreement, feeling moved. Because of his company, the East Territory King did not directly use great divine powers to traverse the starry sky but instead chose to use the ultimate heavenly artifact flying boat to take them forward, allowing Yi-chan to truly witness the spectacle of the cosmos. With this view, Yi-chan felt even more profoundly the vastness and grandeur of this boundless starry sky. At his current realm, he couldn't even find the path to the divine kingdom within this expanse. Existences like the East Territory King and Mrs. He, however, could traverse and shuttle through the endless expanse of the starry sky with their physical bodies, even crossing from one star domain to another. It was truly inconceivable. While Yi-chan was in the ultimate heavenly artifact flying boat, contemplating these thoughts, the little provincial princess walked into the room where Yi-chan was, accompanied by the divine venerable Hongzhu and the East Territory King, from another room on the flying boat. "Brother Yi-chan, are you really not going with us to the East Province of the Divine Kingdom?" As soon as the little provincial princess appeared, she asked Yi-chan. Yi-chan smiled and nodded to the little provincial princess. "I obtained an inheritance from a divine king in the southern territory of the Divine Kingdom and promised him I would visit his homeland. There's about a year left before the 9 Great Divine Institutes assessment, and during this time, I plan to venture in the Divine Kingdom to enhance my strength." "Oh," the little provincial princess replied, her head drooping in disappointment. Seeing the little provincial princess looking somewhat downcast, the East Territory King smiled and patted her head. "All right, Luoer, the reason Yi-chan has grown so fast, becoming so powerful, is exactly because he has been continuously adventuring and striving to improve himself. 1 year of true adventuring in the Divine Kingdom, with Yi Chen's talent, could indeed allow for a vast improvement. Perhaps by the time the 9 Great Divine Institutes assessment arrives, his strength will have increased several folds. At this point, the East Territory King also cautioned Yi Chen, "Young friend Yi Chen, I won't stop you from venturing into the Southern Territory. However, when adventuring in the Divine Kingdom, be very careful. In the Divine Kingdom, there are too many powerful individuals. Even if you have great talent and strong combat power, there is always someone stronger, so it's best to be cautious above all. I won't provide you with any other means, lest you rely too much on external things and fail to truly temper yourself. Of course, in the face of true life and death danger, you must be prepared. I have a talisman here, and if you encounter danger you truly cannot withstand, crush it, and I will come to save you. However, after I save you, you must promise me to come back to the East Territory with me immediately." While speaking, the East Territory King handed a talisman directly to Yi Chen. Yi Chen took the talisman and nodded solemnly. "Thank you, East Territory King, for your guidance. I'll strive not to use this talisman." Yi Chen understood the East Territory King's well-intentioned efforts. Indeed, the East Territory King could have provided him with many trump cards, just like the feather misses he gave Zhang Yao in the Undersea Divine Palace. But in doing so, he would lack a true sense of crisis, relying on external objects, and it would be impossible for his strength to truly improve. The East Territory King only left him with a protective talisman, and once the talisman was crushed, he would have to return to the East Territory, forfeiting his chance to adventure on his own. This was also the East Territory King's way of letting Yi Chen truly cherish the opportunity to improve his strength through this venture, to really stand on his own in the Divine Kingdom. This was the East Territory King's great trust and encouragement for Yi Chen. He trusted Yi Chen could make his own way in the Divine Kingdom. He encouraged Yi Chen to enhance his strength through life and death trials. Yi Chen understood the East Territory King's kind intentions, but the little provincial princess pouted, "Daddy, you're being too stingy. You should at least give brother Yi Chen a few slaughter talismans." Before the little provincial princess could finish, Yi Chen interrupted with a smile. "It's okay. If you really give me a lot of slaughter talismans, I'll be too safe and won't be able to truly temper myself. Going to the Divine Kingdom isn't like the Undersea Divine Palace's great calamity. As long as I'm careful, I'll be fine. There are so many martial artists in the Divine Kingdom who are also safely cultivating." Upon hearing Yi Chen's words, the little provincial princess didn't press further, and looking at Yi Chen with her eyes, she smiled and said, "Since brother Yi Chen wants to rely on himself, Luor believes that your strength will rise even higher. When the examination for the 9 Divine Institutes starts, we'll meet again, brother Yi Chen." Yi Chen smiled and nodded. The East Territory King also smiled and said, "Young friend Yi Chen, when the examination for the 9 Divine Institutes officially begins, I will come to see you and tell you more about it then." While Yi Chen was conversing with the East Territory King and the others, the ultimate heavenly artifact flying vessel had finally passed through mysterious mists and entered a new world. This new world belonged to a higher plane, a realm where only great powers could enter on their own. This too was a boundless expanse of starry sky, but here the continents among the stars, each one, were magnitudes larger than those of the lower star continent. Even numerous continents, dozens in number, had been joined by the mighty using earth-shattering divine abilities, creating countless magnificent palaces, high towers, countless martial artists in flight, forming towering cities stretching across the starry sky. This was the Divine Kingdom of the Myriad Veils. Enjoy new stories from Novelbin.com. Upon truly entering the Divine Kingdom of the Myriad Veils, Yi Chen, Xiaojiu, and the little monkey, who were visiting the Divine Kingdom for the first time, all stood up from the vessel, gazing at each passing continent with astonishment and admiration. At this moment, the East Territory King smiled at Yi Chen and said, "Young friend Yi Chen, this transport extreme point is within the southern territory of the Divine Kingdom. Now, I will take you to the Circulation of Heaven Divine City in the Southern Territory." Chapter 638, Blood Moon Forest. The Circulation of Heaven Divine City is a very small divine city in the southern territory of the Wanmu Mountain Divine Kingdom. The big cities of the Wanmu Mountain Divine Kingdom occupy entire upper realm continents that are countless times larger than a lower realm star continent. Some of the massive cities are even forged together by powerful beings using several, or even dozens of upper realm star continents, like the number 1 divine city of the Divine Kingdom's East Territory. However, the Circulation of Heaven Divine City only occupies a very small piece of land on a remote star continent in the southern territory of the Divine Kingdom. When the East Territory King brought Yi-Chun into this divine city, he investigated and found that the strongest martial artist in Circulation of Heaven Divine City was only at the realm of Lower God King. But this wasn't surprising. Yi-Chun had also learned from the memories left in the main hall of the Icebound Temple by the once Icebound Divine King that small cities like this were often places where divine kings of many divine kingdoms arranged for their families to live. After all, in the Divine Kingdom, the God King realm is considered a relatively weak realm. If families were moved to big cities, on one hand, many divine kings didn't have such great abilities. On the other hand, there were too many powerful people in the big cities, making it too dangerous for their family members. The Icebound Divine King, who was originally a martial artist from the lower realm, after cultivating to the lower God King level, brought his family into the Divine Kingdom and settled them in Circulation of Heaven Divine City. Originally, the Icebound Divine King had planned to move his family out of Circulation of Heaven Divine City to a larger city once his strength had increased a bit more. Unexpectedly, after he left Circulation of Heaven Divine City, although he had managed to break through to the Upper God King realm in his subsequent adventures, before he could return to his family, he perished at the hands of another Upper God King, an Aishan God King. Through Ice 1, Ice 5, and Ice 7, Yi-Chun also knew that the enmity between the Icebound Divine King and an Aishan God King originated from their exploits outside, which wouldn't jeopardize his family. However, after so many years had passed, Yi-Chun didn't know how the Icebound Divine King's family, left in Circulation of Heaven Divine City, was faring. Having received the legacy of Senior Icebound Divine King, no matter what, I must properly repay his family, he thought. Senior Icebound Divine King said that when he created the Icebound Divine Body technique, he only left the initial volumes with his family. He had not yet managed to give the latter volumes to his family before he fell. The complete Icebound Divine Body technique, however, could be given to his family members. Also, Senior Icebound Divine King said he had left quite a lot of wealth in the Divine Kingdom, which could be given to his family after it was unsealed. Yi-Chun reflected. Even before Yi-Chun arrived at Circulation of Heaven Divine City, he had already pondered some of the things he should do when encountering the descendants of the Icebound Divine King. But when Yi-Chun actually arrived at Circulation of Heaven Divine City, some things completely caught him by surprise. This was Yi-Chun's second day in Circulation of Heaven Divine City. By this time, the East Territory King had already left, and Yi-Chun certainly couldn't expect him to stay with him all the time, delaying the East Territory King's matters. After being brought to Circulation of Heaven Divine City by the East Territory King, Yi-Chun bid farewell to the East Territory King, the Red Spider Sovereign, and the Little Princess, and settled down in Circulation of Heaven Divine City for the time being. Then, Yi-Chun began to inquire about the Icebound Divine King's descendants in Circulation of Heaven Divine City. The Icebound Divine King, whose real name was Zhou Liuxiu, originally settled his family in Circulation of Heaven Divine City with the status of a lower God King, and the Zhou family occupied a large estate in the north of the city. However, when Yi-Chun went with Ice 1, Ice 5, Ice 7, and Xiaojiu toward the northern part of Circulation of Heaven Divine City, to the area of the family land remembered by the Icebound Divine King, they discovered that it had long since changed hands and was now occupied by several other families. At that moment, Yi-Chun realized that with tens of thousands of years having passed, the situation was likely to have transformed dramatically, and the Icebound Divine King's family had undergone considerable change. Consequently, Yi-Chun arranged for Xiaojiu to investigate the matter of the Icebound Divine King's descendants in detail. And when the next day Xiaojiu presented the gathered information to Yi-Chun, he, looking through the news, heaved a deep sigh. Over the years, the Zhou family's descendants, after the Icebound Divine King's departure, had not flourished but instead, the entire family had gradually declined. Not only had they lost the large estate in the north of Circulation of Heaven Divine City, but eventually they even had to leave circulation of Heaven Divine City. Now they had fallen to living in a small city called Fallen Moon City, outside circulation of Heaven Divine City, and became a very minor family. Xiaojiu also found out that over the years, the Zhou family had hardly produced any formidable martial artists, and the strongest among them was said to be currently at the Six Tribulations True God realm. Although a Six Tribulations True God could make a living in Fallen Moon City, an affiliated small city of circulation of Heaven Divine City, this was entirely incomparable to the time when the Icebound Divine King left his family, during which the family had many 9 Tribulations True Gods. Hearing this news, Yi Chun let out a deep sigh, while Ice 1, Ice 5, and Ice 7 were even more heartbroken. Especially Ice 7, which was the first to follow the Icebound Divine King, and had even spent time in circulation of Heaven Divine City when he was still a lower God King, felt deeply saddened by the decline of the Zhou family. All right, no need to grieve. Let's hope that our arrival can bring some help to the descendants of the Divine King, Yi Chun said at last, patting the shoulders of Ice 1, Ice 5, and Ice 7 as he stood up. Since they are no longer in circulation of Heaven Divine City, let's go to that Fallen Moon City and have a look. Blood Moon Forest is an ancient forest that occupies at least tens of thousands of square miles, located between circulation of Heaven Divine City and Fallen Moon City. What is more peculiar is that this forest naturally forbids flying, so that even with Yi Chen's current strength, he cannot directly fly over the forest to reach Fallen Moon City. This forest thus serves as a natural boundary between Fallen Moon City and circulation of Heaven Divine City. Whether coming from one side or the other, one must pass through this vast Blood Moon Forest. Xiaojiu, from the information you've gathered, does the Blood Moon Forest have a natural aura that greatly aids divine soul cultivation? Yi Chun walked through the Blood Moon Forest, speaking to Xiaojiu, who had transformed into a little spirit finch perched on his shoulder. At this time, the little monkey, Bing Yi, Bing Wu, and Bing Qi were all gathered in a spatial treasure by Yi Chun, where they were cultivating according to the techniques he had passed on to them. In the past, Yi Chun would of course not have instructed Bing Yi, Bing Wu, and Bing Qi, but after experiencing the great calamity of cleansing, he had seen sovereign realm powerhouses and even obtained the heaven-reaching divine art, 9 Swords of Annihilation. Bing Yi, Bing Wu, and Bing Qi were originally trained by the Icebound Divine King, and they were somewhat lacking in martial skills, so Yi Chun taught them the first of the 9 Swords of Annihilation. When they heard Yi Chun say that whoever learned the first sword would continue to be taught the second sword of the 9 Swords of Annihilation, and after witnessing the power of this heaven-reaching divine art, Bing Yi, Bing Wu, and Bing Qi were naturally overjoyed and immediately began to cultivate it within the spatial treasure. As for the little monkey, Yi Chun taught it the Icebound Divine Body. Experience more on novel.com. The little monkey, being a true spirit sacred beast with an inherently strong physical body, was indeed suitable for cultivating such a divine body. Hearing Yi Chen's question, Xiaojiu turned to him and said, "Yes, there is a natural blood-red aura within the Blood Moon Forest that can nourish the divine soul. Even many warriors from circulation of Heaven Divine City often cultivate in the Blood Moon Forest. It's also said that at the middle of every month, when the blood-red aura in the Blood Moon Forest is at its thickest, many fearsome beasts would emerge from various parts of the Blood Moon Forest. On that day, those warriors wouldn't dare to roam the Blood Moon Forest recklessly. Yi Chun, counting the days, today is the middle of the month, so it is likely the day when there are the most beasts. However, the strongest beast said to be in the circulation of Heaven Divine City area is just at the 9 stages True God level, and since these 9 stages True God beasts are not cultivated by divine sovereigns, they're not much more powerful than the ones in the lower realms. With your current strength, you really don't need to worry," Xiaojiu added. Hearing Xiaojiu's words, Yi Chun smiled. "Then let's hurry towards Fallen Moon City, and meanwhile, we can cultivate our divine souls in the Blood Moon Forest. Xiaojiu, as a soul beast, you also need to cultivate your divine soul power, so this will be a good opportunity for you as well." Xiaojiu nodded with a smile. As Yi Chan and Xiaojiu talked and proceeded deeper into the Blood Moon Forest, just like Xiaojiu had said, the deeper they went, the thicker the blood-red aura of the Blood Moon Forest became. After breathing in this blood-red aura, Yi Chen's divine soul felt incredibly refreshing. This aura indeed could nourish and strengthen the divine soul. At that moment, hiss! Suddenly, amid a loud noise, a gigantic blood-red bat-like beast, easily measuring 300 yards in length, burst out from beside a huge tree. This blood-red bat even spat flames, directly burning towards Yi Chen. This flame was even more terrifying than the true fire of the lower realm, and its burning power had astonishingly reached the level of a 5 stages true god. A 5 stages true god level beast might pose some trouble for the warriors of Fallen Moon City to handle. But when Yi Chen faced the flames spewed by this bat, a powerful aura of killing intent released from him in an instant. With just a faint sound, this gigantic blood-red bat, along with the flames it expelled, were directly annihilated by Yi Chen into nothingness. Yi Chen looked at the dead beast, shook his head, then with a swift movement, he disappeared from the spot with Xiaojiu. While Yi Chen and Xiaojiu were progressing through the Blood Moon Forest, another small group was also carefully moving along the forest's outskirts. Brother, today is the day when the aura of the Blood Moon pervades. You have to be careful in here. Stick with Dad and the uncles, and don't get lost. A slender girl carrying a giant sai, and Bao spoke out to a boy about 14 or 15 years old within the group. Sister, don't worry. Today, I'm determined to gather enough blood moonstones for you, exchange them for black divine coins, and send you to Circulation of Heaven Divine Institute for cultivation, the boy said earnestly. The girl patted the boy's head and smiled upon hearing his words. In front of the girl and boy were 6 middle-aged men. Upon hearing the brother and sister's conversation, these men all sighed inwardly. When did our Zhou family fall to this? We once had vast estates within Circulation of Heaven Divine City, and now, our family can't even afford to send Yuer to the Divine Institute in the city for cultivation. After their sigh, the gazes of these middle-aged men hardened. No matter the danger, we must take advantage of tonight, when other warriors dare not venture into the Blood Moon Forest, and dig up more Blood Moon stones. Chapter 639, Fallen Moon City Zhou Family. Half an hour later. Sister, I found another Blood Moon stone. The boy's hand, coated with dark mud, was held high, and within his palm, a crystal-clear red stone emitted a faint red halo. Just as the boy raised the stone, the girl beside him hurriedly yelled, "Be careful!" In that moment, a shadow over 10 meters in length suddenly pounced from the side, biting straight toward the red stone in the boy's hand. Only when the girl saw that the shadow was a wolf-shaped monster did she relax the tensed bowstring. This monster was merely at the mid-stage of Heavenly Saint. Her younger brother could handle it. Indeed, as the wolf-shaped monster pounced toward the boy, a cold, frosty aura burst forth from him, surging toward the sky. Then, with a fierce punch, the boy struck the monster, sending the 10-meter-long wolf-shaped creature flying backward, tumbling several times before it lay motionless on the ground, dead. Upon seeing that he had killed a mid-stage Heavenly Saint monster with a single punch, the boy excitedly said to the girl, "Sister, I'm impressive, aren't I?" The girl smiled and nodded. Impressive. But in her heart, she felt a sour pang. Her brother's talent was indeed high, hardly weaker than hers. At the age of 15, to cultivate to the mid-stage Heavenly Saint realm was already remarkable, even in the higher planes of the Divine Kingdom where spiritual energy was abundant. Regrettably, her family was declining and could only afford for her brother to practice the family's martial arts. They couldn't even pay for entrance fees to the Divine Institute. At this rate, even if her brother broke through to the True God realm, he wouldn't be able to attend the Divine Institute. Once I get the chance to join Circulation of Heaven Divine Institute, I must save enough black divine coins to let my brother come and cultivate at the institute as well. The girl resolved firmly in her heart. Sister, what are you thinking about? Seeing the girl in a daze, the boy spoke up. Let's go. This area has already been searched. We should quickly catch up with father and uncle and look for blood moon stones elsewhere. The girl gathered her thoughts and smiled at the boy, nodding, then continued to follow the several middle-aged men ahead, moving forward. A short half-hour later. When the party of 8 arrived at a valley, they saw a young man at the late stage of Heavenly Saint, with a small bird on his shoulder, sitting amidst a mass of blood-red aura. Suddenly, a gigantic lion-shaped monster with a fiery red body, over 50 meters long, shot out like lightning, ferociously attacking the young man in the valley. Yet the young man, still sitting within the blood-red aura, simply turned to look at the giant lion-shaped creature without any reaction. It's a blood-mane lion, a 3 tribulations true god monster. Has this young man gone mad with fear, so recklessly coming to the Blood Moon Forest while only at the late stage of Heavenly Saint? Seeing the giant lion-shaped monster about to reach the young man, 6 middle-aged men from the team were shocked, with several prepared to take action. At that moment, with a swoosh, a purple golden arrow shot out like electricity, carrying terrifying lethal power, flying instantly from the team toward the blood-mane lion that was lunging at the late-stage Heavenly Saint young man. Thud! This arrow struck directly at the center of the head of the larger, over 50-meter-long blood-mane lion. The center seemed to be the lion's deadly weak spot. As soon as it was hit, the entire body of the massive lion-shaped monster exploded and died. The purple golden arrow that killed the 3 tribulations true god monster, the blood-mane lion, instantly flew back, returning straight to the hands of the person who shot it. The archer, with a curvy figure, a bold chest, and a tall stature, her appearance elegant, holding a cyan great bow, turned out to be the girl from the team. At this moment, the girl who had shot the arrow to save someone slightly furrowed her brows and looked toward the young man in the valley who was watching her. Where did you come from, and how did you end up here? Do you realize how dangerous this is? The girl saw the late-stage Heavenly Saint young man smiling as he stood up, glanced at the small bird on his shoulder as if it were nothing serious, and said to her, "Thanks." Then, the young man, who was of course Yi-chun, started walking deeper into the valley. The small bird on his shoulder was Xiaojiu, transformed into a little sparrow. Yi-chun and Xiaojiu were absorbing and refining the blood-red aura in the valley to nourish their divine souls when they suddenly encountered the attack from the 3 tribulations true god monster, the blood-mane lion. Yet Yi-chun wasn't worried in the slightest. He had planned to wait for the blood-mane lion to attack, then simply exhale a breath to kill the creature. But unexpectedly, a girl from the suddenly appearing team had intervened and saved him. Yi-chun naturally appreciated the girl's kindness. He wouldn't say that she was meddling. So, after thanking the girl, Yi-chun planned to leave, as he still intended to absorb more of the blood-red aura. However, Yi-chun's nonchalant demeanor somewhat irritated the girl. The young girl looked at Yi-chun, who was only a few years older than her brother, yet he was blundering through the Blood Moon Forest like a greenhorn. Although Yi-chun's cultivation at the late Heavenly Saint realm was impressive for his age, the fact that today was the day when the Blood Moon's aura pervaded, the young girl was well aware of the threat posed by the Blood Moon Forest. Even with martial artists in the True God realm among them, they would only venture around the outskirts of the forest and dared not delve deeper. Was this young man really planning to go further in? Discover exclusive tales on Novelbin.com. Stop right there! The young girl stomped her foot at Yi-chun. Are you here for the first time? It's very dangerous inside today. You should get out of here. If you go deeper and encounter danger again, I won't save you. Hearing the young girl's somewhat annoyed words, Yi-chun smiled gently, about to explain to this kind-hearted young girl that he was not afraid of the Blood Moon Forest, and that he had long passed through the core area of the forest before arriving at this side of Fallen Moon City. Just then, Yi-chun heard the 6 middle-aged men in front of the young girl also speak up. Indeed, young man, today is different. There are demons running rampant inside the Blood Moon Forest, and you must not blunder in. We are martial artists from the Zhou family of Fallen Moon City and are extremely familiar with the Blood Moon Forest. You should listen to us and leave quickly. The Zhou family of Fallen Moon City? Upon hearing these words, Yi-chun's mind was stirred. Were these people the descendants of the ice-sealed God King who had fallen to the Zhou family in Fallen Moon City that he was looking for? Yi-chun turned to look at those few people. Xiaojiu also quietly transmitted to Yi-chun. Yi-chun, There is indeed a hint of the ice-sealed divine body's aura on these people. With my strong divine soul power, I can sense it even though they haven't released it. Really members of the Zhou family? Yichen eyed the group. The 6 middle-aged people were all in the True God realm, 3 of them in the 4 Tribulations True God stage, 2 in the 5 Tribulations True God stage, and the strongest was a 6 Tribulations True God middle-aged man. The girl following them, however, was somewhat of a surprise to Yichun. Although she looked to be only around 20 years old, she was already at the 3 Tribulations True God realm. Although cultivating to the True God realm was much easier in the higher plane divine kingdoms than in the lower planes, in the remote area of the circulation of Heaven Divine City within this divine kingdom, this was still quite an achievement. The report said that the strongest member of the Zhou family is a 6 Tribulations True God. Could it be that this is the 6 Tribulations True God among this group? If they know that the Blood Moon Forest is exceptionally dangerous today, then why come to the forest? And why send out their strongest martial artists? The people of the Zhou family seem to have good hearts, and even if it weren't for the ice-sealed God King's reason, I would have to repay them for repeatedly warning me to be cautious. With the entrustment from the ice-sealed God King, I even more want to check on their situation. With that thought, Yichen smiled and stepped towards the group. Yichen said to the 8 people, "I've just arrived near circulation of Heaven Divine City from another divine city, and heard that the Blood Moon Forest is a good place for cultivation, so I came here to cultivate. You all are very familiar with the Blood Moon Forest? How about you take me along with you?" Go along with them? The 8 people from the Zhou family had intended to persuade Yichen to leave, but to their surprise, Yichen wanted to join them. This time, the 8 had come out with the intention of harvesting blood moonstones. Along the way, they had encountered assaults from many demons, but fortunately, they had all managed to get through the dangers safely. However, bringing along a young man at the late Heavenly Saint stage made them hesitate. At this moment, the 14 or 15-year-old boy spoke up. "You can follow us, but you'll have to help my sister find more blood moonstones. As long as you help my sister find blood moonstones, we will ensure you leave the Blood Moon Forest safely." Blood moonstones? Just as Yichun was pondering, Xiaojiu transmitted to him, "Blood moonstones are a special type of or formed by the condensation of the red aura in the Blood Moon Forest. They are said to be exchangeable for the Divine Kingdom's universal currency, black divine coins. However, blood moonstones are difficult to collect, and the black divine coins they fetch are quite limited. Now that it's so dangerous and they've come here to collect the stones, it seems that the Zhou family is indeed in decline, to be so impoverished." Yichun nodded upon hearing Xiaojiu's words. "Brother." The young girl frowned when she heard the boy agreeing to bring Yichun along. She was somewhat concerned that this somewhat rash young man joining their group might cause trouble for them. But thinking that the young man was only at the late Heavenly Saint stage, and that it was too dangerous for him to roam the Blood Moon Forest alone, she eventually didn't refuse and just said to Yichun, "If you follow us, you must obey our arrangements. Once we've gathered enough blood moonstones, we'll take you out of the Blood Moon Forest." "No problem," Yichun smiled and readily agreed. As for the young girl's mention of following their arrangements, of course, Yichun was not going to refuse. He was following these people from the Zhou family partly to learn more about them, and partly with the intention that if the group really encountered danger, he would help them out. Chapter 640, The Magical Youngster. With Yichen joining them, the team grew to 9 people. The 6 middle-aged men still led the way, with Yichun, the young boy, and the girl trailing behind. "Why are you collecting blood moonstones? I heard that these blood moonstones aren't even that valuable, and they are quite difficult to gather too," Yichun whispered to the young boy as they walked. "My sister has already become a true god of the 3 tribulations, but because our family doesn't have enough black divine coins, she can't even go to the circulation of Heaven Divine Institute. Now that another year of recruitment is upon us, we don't want my sister to miss another opportunity to cultivate. So, we came out to look for blood moonstones to exchange for black divine coins. This year, if we can find 1,000 blood moonstones and exchange them for 1,000 black divine coins, together with the black divine coins saved by our family in previous years, It should be enough for my sister to attend the circulation of Heaven Divine Institute. The young boy replied to Yi-chan. Little brother. The girl noticed the young boy speaking to Yi-chan about their desire to go to the circulation of Heaven Divine Institute and couldn't help but get a little annoyed. Stop talking and concentrate on keeping up with Dad and our uncles. Oh. The young boy hummed lightly and stopped speaking. Find adventures on Novelbin. Calm. Yi-chan, however, felt rather conflicted at this moment. He understood why the girl was reluctant to discuss the topic. She probably felt ashamed to reveal her family's decline in front of a stranger like him. That circulation of Heaven Divine Institute was a mere ordinary cultivation institute in the circulation of Heaven Divine City, a place Yi-chan had inquired about after arriving in the city. This kind of institute, when compared to the 9 major divine institutes of the Divine Kingdom, was incomparable, not even on par with some great divine cities institutes within the Wanmu Mountain Divine Kingdom. And yet, descendants of the highly respected Divine King, even unable to afford the entrance fee to such an institute, gave Yi-chan quite a heavy heart. Once I unlock the wealth left behind in the Divine Kingdom by the Divine King predecessor, not to mention the circulation of Heaven Divine City, even the cultivation institutes of larger divine cities would be sufficient for this girl to attend. Yi-chan thought. Sigh for now. Let's just help them find the blood moon stones and fulfill this wish of theirs. With that thought, Yi-chan directly transmitted his voice to Xiaojiu. Xiaojiu, search around carefully and see if there are any blood moon stones nearby. Xiaojiu, as a soul beast, was also of the extraordinarily powerful 9-spirit sparrow kind. She was naturally gifted with extraordinary divine soul strength, and almost her entire combat power was derived from that divine soul strength. Not only was she exceptionally intelligent and quick at absorbing knowledge, but Xiaojiu's ability to use divine soul to probe her surroundings was even stronger than Yi-chan's. She could almost compare to the most top-notch true gods of the 9 tribulations in the Divine Kingdom. In such a scenario, Xiaojiu's probing was naturally far superior to the exploration outcomes of the Zhou family's 6 strongest middle-aged men from Fallen Moon City, who were merely common true gods of the 6 tribulations. Indeed, after hearing Yi-chan's words, Xiaojiu immediately sent her divine soul strength into the earth. The Zhou family's 6 middle-aged men had passed by an area without any reaction, but Xiaojiu discovered quite a few blood moon stones hidden below. Yi-chan, there are 56 fully formed blood moon stones 7 or 8 meters to the left up ahead. Xiaojiu transmitted to Yi-chan. Yi-chan nodded and headed in that direction. What are you doing? Don't fall behind. The girl stomped her feet impatiently when she saw Yi-chan leaving the group. For some reason, whenever she saw the always calm Yi-chan, she felt as if he was just like her younger brother, a rash and troublesome young boy, and couldn't help but want to scold him more. It's nothing. I just have a feeling there's something strange around here. I believe, it seems like there are blood moon stones, Yi-chan said with a faint smile, walking toward the place Xiaojiu had indicated. You think there are blood moon stones? The girl patted her forehead, somewhat at a loss with Yi-chan. She, a true god of the 3 tribulations, hadn't detected any blood moon stones, nor had her father and uncles who were true gods of the 5 and 6 tribulations in front of her. Yet this young man in the late stage of Heaven Saint claims he feels the presence of blood moon stones? This left the girl somewhat at a loss for words with a mix of laughter and tears. Just as the girl was about to stop Yi-chan and hurry him to catch up with the group, the young boy, upon hearing about blood moon stones, became somewhat excited. Where? Hurry up and dig them out. We've been searching for half a day and have only found a little over 30 blood moon stones. Let's quickly search. The young boy immediately ran in front of Yi-chan. Don't dawdle, you two. Time is precious, the girl was saying, when she saw the spot where Yi-chan stood, and Yi-chan pointed his finger to the ground, flipping over heaps of dirt, revealing a pit several meters deep all at once. Then, a pile of translucent red stones appeared in the pit, embedded in the dark soil. Could it really be blood moon stones? And not just 1 or 2, but a good 50 pieces, far more than the 30-some they had found after more than an hour of searching. Seeing the 50-plus shimmering blood moon stones at the bottom of the pit under Yi-chan's feet, the girl was so astonished that she almost cried out in shock. The girl managed to restrain herself, but the young man beside her had already started to shout excitedly. It's really blood moonstones. Wow, more than 50 of them. Sister, what a discovery! The young man hurriedly grabbed the blood moonstones from the dirt with his hands. Holding them in his hand and sensing that these blood moonstones were indeed identical to the ones he had collected earlier, the young man was so excited that he was nearly fainting. Blood moonstones! The 6 middle-aged men leading the way, hearing the boy's shrill cry, also turned around and walked towards Yi-chan and the young man and girl. Upon seeing the 56 blood moonstones revealed in the pit, these 6 middle-aged men were also so surprised that their mouths hung open. He's the one who found them. He's so amazing. After the young man collected all the blood moonstones, his gaze towards Yi-chan was filled with admiration. Yi-chan touched his nose, smiled at the few people who were staring at him in amazement, and said, "The feeling, it's just a feeling." They continued on their journey. "I have a feeling there are blood moonstones here too. We should take a look over there." Every time Yi-chan pointed to a spot, the excited young man by his side would rush over to dig out the blood moonstones. The girl had her doubts about Yi-chan's sense at first, but when her brother dug time after time, finding blood moonstones again and again, and in less than half an hour, under Yi-chan's guidance they had unearthed more than 400 blood moonstones, the girl was so shaken that she felt dizzy. On days when the blood moon aura was pervasive, they couldn't gather 400 blood moonstones in a whole night, and now, in less than half an hour, they had found over 400? If this rate continued, they wouldn't need to wait until next month to gather 1,000 blood moonstones. They could collect enough today. Is this really Yi-chan's sense? Or does he truly have the strength to discover blood moonstones? During their journey, she and her brother had talked with Yi-chan and learned each other's names. The girl looked at Yi-chan, her gaze no longer the same as before when she looked at an impetuous young man, now filled with astonishment and shock. However, he's only at the late stage of heavenly saint. It's not possible to discover blood moonstones by strength alone. After all, even my father, a 6 tribulations true God, couldn't find them. Could it really be a feeling? Just when the girl still couldn't quite believe it, her brother, under Yi-chan's guidance, dug up another 50+ blood moonstones. Seeing her brother holding up piece after piece of blood moonstone, the girl named Zhouyu, her beautiful eyes looking at Yi-chan, had only one thought. They had encountered a magical young man.